line, heavily back sporting bet market mover. The punters have really served up here. I think I do into this one, Retrieve. Number one. Oh, hello. And again, if you don't mind firming, into $1.70. Wow. This has been a big go, Retrieve. $2 into 170. Now, let me have a look at my sheet, and I'll tell you what they were betting. Sporting
170 currently on the tote in New South Wales. Moving up. The Blackie 460 out to 60. There they go, racing. Out wide, Space Station and Shoot Off back again a little bit slowly. Fast Clip and Shadows in the sun away well. Retrievers in between them early in third from Straight Albert, and now Space Station and Shoot Off. Those two that missed the start are starting to rush forward out wide. Foe here running up towards the 1,000. They're slowing down to a walk. And the leader, Space Station, by 3/4 Shoot Off. And then Shadows in the sun, Fast Clip and Blackie starting to stride forward. He's run up into fifth, but he's out 3-1 on a limb still. Retrieve the favourite on the inside. Straight Albert between that pair. He's already off the bit. And then King Gladiator, followed by I Think I Do. Shadow of Excellence is second last, and the Nectar Mulefield last of all. Down the side of the course, inside the 800, and it's Space Station just in front of Shoot Off. Fast Clip's travelling okay behind them, and then Shadows in the sun. He's got off the fence on Retrieve. It's now one off the rail, and then Blackie on the outside, followed further back by King Gladiator, saving ground on the fence. Mulefield starts a run from Straight Albert, I Think I Do, and Shadow of Excellence is back last of all. Coming into the straight, Shoot Off the leader, led from Fast Clip on the outside. Retrieve still about 2 away. He's pulled the stick on it, and further back running on I Think I Do. Fast Clip's in front, took over from Shoot Off. Retrieve's only battling for the moment. I Think I Do starting to run on, and then Shadows in the sun, but Fast Clip's going well with 100 to go, and Fast Clip's going to be much too good in the run to the line, and beat I Think I Do. Shoot Off got third, then Shadows in the sun, King Gladiator. Retrieve most disappointing, and then came Blackie, who never got on the track from Shadow.
Without a winner for Gay Waterhouse and Nashua Willow, and Fast Clip has seen the Mya Talic Stakes race 2 on the program.
Yeah, well, Gay said it won't go to the Derby. Runs in the packet plate. I think I do good. Shoot Off good. King Gladiator excellent. Retrieve horrible. Well, we heard from Peter earlier in the day. Is this the right race, Mark and Rich, for the Derby lead up? We're going to look at the market shortly.
Well, it's starting to look an even race apart from Jimmy Shue in some respects. He's won at 2,400 already. A lot of these haven't, but King Gladiator does look to be the horse who is going to relish 2,400 at Randwick, Richie.
Yeah, they bet big odds.
Let's have a look at the odds.
Oh, that's not right. He's not $6, is he?
What price was he?
Apparently, $71. And I'm not being rude. After he's run the start before, I made him a black
plate, and he's a horse that just continues to lift the bar, even though he's got a sprinting pedigree. He's racing like a star and sort of cleaned them up there. I Think I Do. I thought he put in a good slogging Derby trial. He's got the profile with the Cummings timing and
the big Group 1s, the 5 Group 1s on Amy Golden Slipper Day. And this is the English Queen of the Turf. We see one of the darlings of the Australian turf, certainly the Sydney turf, in More Joyous as a short price favourite. Group 1s, she's won the George Main, the Flight Stakes, the Toorak, and also the Futurity. She's also won 7 Group 2s. She's won 13 out of 17, been placed another one.
Singo, More Joyous, about to go out and do what she does best.
And she comes up to Mares are set. They're off. Palacio de Crystal, as usual, came out last. Montana Flyer, as expected, began brilliantly from the inside and will lead from More Joyous. He'll camp just off the favourite, camp just off the stablemate, I should say, shortly after the start. Palacio de Crystal third, and then Melito on the speed up in the lead and went about 2.5 clear of More Joyous. Palacio de Crystal is up in a much closer spot than usual. She's running third. Melito on the outside of it, a neck away, and then came Jersey Lily, followed by Set for Fame and Happy Hippie back last of all. Montana Flies clapping the speed on here, 800 to run, about 4 lengths in front of More Joyous, sitting behind it. Palacio de Crystal third, and on the outside is Melito, so he's trying to get onto the back of More Joyous, approaching the turn, and then Set for Fame, followed further back as they run to the turn by Jersey Lily and Happy Hippie 2 and away as they run to the turn. Now into the straight, and Montana Flyer led. They're all coming a little bit wide. More Joyous in second spot is Stalky at Melito's 2 away behind them, and then then Palacio to Crystal, but More Joyous has absolutely bolted the lead with 200 to go. Melito is under the stick in second spot, followed by Montana Flyer, but he sits down to ride out More Joyous, hands and heels. Melito tries hard in second spot, but here's 10 straight in Sydney for More Joyous. An easy win. Melito got second, Happy Hippie third. Then Palacio to Crystal, followed by Montana Flyer, Jersey Lily, and last in was Set for Fame.
Joyous, more Group 1 success, more celebrations for John Singleton, Gay Waterhouse and Nashua Willow. This wonderful mare has tasted success in her 5th Group 1 here today, taking out the English Queen of the Turf Stakes, Melito, her daughter of Denise's Joy and Oaks winner, and the family of Tuesday Joy, just a great family. And Gay Waterhouse is trained.
I don't know what to say about her other than that she's just a fantastic racehorse and a popular racehorse, great for racing. $1.40 maxi div there. She makes races look easy. They shouldn't be that
The
easy.
replay brings a tear to your eye, Bruce. More Joyous, she's a superstar, 14 from 18 now, and she's just so dominant, isn't she? But look, I think she's probably top pick in the Doncaster, but she's no lay down moral. The thing that amazed me yesterday, Mark, and I think we said 1,000, we all believed it. As good a thing as she was to win Melito to run second, I can't believe the Quinellas paid $2, $2.10, $2.30.
Paid even since New South Wales beats her easily here.
If she measures up in the Doncaster, which of course she will, I mean, her last handicap was a 2-rack handicap. She only beat We're Gonna Rock in a blanket finish. But that'll be the crowning glory for her if she can score a dominant victory in the Doncaster, as did Black Caviar in the Newmarket.
Look, she's won twice at Caulfield, but she didn't look really happy there at the time, did she? I think, back the Sydney way of going, which, as I said in the call, she's won 10 straight here, and she's pretty hard to beat this way.
That's all you've got to add?
No, she's
About a champion.
she is a champion man.
She is. Is she the queen of the turf? That's the.
What are you talking about?
Well, this constant. Who is the queen of the turf? Is it
She
Black
was
Caviar,
yesterday.
or is it?
Yeah.
Is it More Joyous?
She's actually won
Wow.
Group 1s and Black Caviar. Black Caviar's aiming next Saturday when she runs in the TJ to equal that record of 5. But certainly in Sydney, she is just unbelievable.
Yeah, look, we're lucky to have two great mares like them, and to think we had the pleasure of seeing this yesterday and the pleasure of welcoming Black Caviar to us next week. It's just mouth-watering, but she's just brilliant. She is just brilliant. To beat good horses like this and do it with the style, she's got 56.5, and maybe if Rangi Rangdu doesn't run in the Doncaster, she'll have 57. The weights will go up half a kilo, but she's a star, and I'm wondering what reception she's going to get if she streaks away to win a Doncaster. They'll tear the grandstand down with cheering.
Most rivals feel, Ron, that if she runs with the 56.5 and the weights don't go up and she's under Rangi Rangdu, that she's still tossed in. We're talking about how great she is.
That's right.
How many Group 1s
She's underweight for age.
And she's underweight for age at 56.5. So there's still many trainers that are really glad to get the 51 kilos in a Doncaster, but she's still extremely well in at the 56.5. Look, the Doncaster...
The turf. We have a wonderful bunch of 3-year-old fillies behind me about to contest the second Group 1 on the program. The favourite last year's Oaks winner, Brazilian Pulse.
Yeah, very heavily back to Caroline Brazilian Pulse. The punters don't want any of the others.
All right, so there she is.
Me is at $3.60. Sworn to Secrecy and Fibrillation are about to make their way up into the stall. Rider out of the saddle from 666. He out. Sworn to Secrecy came out well. Do Re Mi not all that far away early on, settling just on the back of the leaders as Chula Vista presses on ahead of it. And then 666 followed by Iron Lace, Mergulisa Lass easing back to midfield. And then Pinker Picker followed by Cool Flyer, who's just sitting out a little bit deep early on. Fibrillation in the centre, and Who's Ready has gone back to the tail of the field. At the end of 400, and Chula Vista led by a length on Sworn to Secrecy. And then 666 will Brazilian Pulse, the favourites out 3 wide here. Williams will have to make a decision whether he wants to go. It's about to take off. Who's Ready? The saddle slipped on it, and it's spearing to the outside fence, and then Cool Flyer. Down the side they come, 700 to run. And the leader, Chula Vista. In advance is Sworn to Secrecy. Geez, this has had a hard run. Brazilian Pulse, followed by 666. Do Re Mi going up in the between horses there, and so too Iron Lace. And further back, Mergulisa Lass, and then Fibrillation, Cool Flyer. And Who's Ready's being eased out of it into the straight, Chula Vista. Just in front, Brazilian Pulse is coming after it. Down the outside, we've got Do Re Mi, and Mergulisa Lass took the shortcut up along the inside, and it's More Joyous Lass at any old price racing away. These Melbourne horses are off the bit at the moment, and More Joyous Lass is going to bring up a big upset here. More Joyous Lass races away and goes on to beat Fibrillation. Brazilian Pulse battled on for third, just in front of Tinker Tinker and Do Re Mi. Then Cool Flyer, Iron Lace, followed by 666. Further back was Sworn to Secrecy, and then Chula Vista. And Who's Ready hasn't completed the course. The saddle slipped badly, and it's just cantering down the straight. Well, the winner is number 5, More Joyous Lass.
Corey Brown tipped it at the Rosehill Cocktail Party on Thursday night, said it was his best ride of the day, and it certainly was.
There's up for the Oaks, back up there, and she just had no luck. 5, 6, 1, 2. English interim dividends, as I said, the maxi div 66.70, 39.30 New South Wales and 6.60.
For anywhere near about 3 knots on the end of that. $66.70. The maxi div there for More Joyous Lass. Fibrillation bled from 1 knot.
In failing events is a turn of foot. And your girl, Greg, she can dart like a 6 furlong horse when she needs to.
Yeah, she's got a good finish reaching. This is the race we set her for, so
Fingers crossed.
It's the filly they couldn't get a bid for. She went through the sales twice, and as a result, it was leased to her now very lucky Connections. That was a hollow Group 1 victory.
Dominance. You can't say no to her as far as the Oaks is concerned. The jockey's got confidence in her. That was a explosive win, and she does have acceleration. A lot to like about her. Fibrillation, look, she's going well. If she gets a wet oak, she's right in it. Brazilian Pulse, well, she was planted 3 deep, no cover, and I hope she doesn't feel that as much as her supporters did yesterday. Barrier 6, I thought it might have been barrier 16 when I looked at it, but fair income. It's a matter of how she recovers after such a tough run like that.
It was a race record yesterday, apparently, and
she's sitting 3 deep, no cover.
Yeah, okay, you can be critical of Craig Williams. Should he have gone forward and taken the lead?
Should have
done race. They're on race record pace. I don't know. It's a tricky one for him, but okay, you can criticise that if you want. Funny places, yearling sales, aren't they? All the experts would have cast their eye over that filly. No, send it away. Don't bid on that. $2,500. Here it is. It's a Group 1 winner.
It's a good win, isn't it? Look at her.
It is.
You know, if she was a 6-4 favourite, you'd say, well, she'll win the Oaks.
Hi, Dennis. The mighty Mackay Diva, Might and Power, Octagonal, Tie the Knot, also Kingston Town have all taken out the BMW. And this year, not much between a couple of these runners as far as the betting's concerned. In the Might and Power, Nick Moreta's colours, My Lucky Day is just in front of Desperado here on course as far as the betting, Rich.
Visit number 7, Linton, like they went up around the $8 mark. It's now like, there it is, $4.60. Oh, wow.
Monaco Consul, there have been a number of these horses, including Desperado himself, a Group 1 winner of the...
My Lucky Day around the 360, 350 mark. So they are the 2 favourites on the tote. Desperado, $3. My Lucky Day. My Lucky Day came out okay. Desperado jumped fast with Larriston and Zarbeat and Moraine on the outside. And as they settle down, Desperado goes to the front, led from Larriston and Zarbeat. Linton not all that far away, followed by Cedarburg. Moraine starting to roll forward out wide. And then Ginga Dude, followed by Hawk Island. My Lucky Day is back about third last on the fence and about 3 lengths to Extra Zero. And last Extra Zero, 1,100 to go. Pace is still muddling. And the leader is Moraine by about a length and a half on Zarbeat. Ginga Dude a length away third. Nectar Larriston on the inside. Linton nicely placed on the outside at Desperado. Then came Hawk Island, followed by Cedarburg, My Lucky Day, Illustrious Blue, and last of all, Extra Zero. Working towards the side, 900 to go. And Moraine is rated well in front here. He leads out by a length and a half on Zarbeat. And then Ginga Dude moving up on the outside to join Larriston, followed by Desperado. Leeton was next as the leaders start to sprint, followed by Hawk Island, Cedarburg. Cassidy hard at work on My Lucky Day. And he's about 10 lengths off the lead. Illustrious Blue next and Extra Zero last of all. Moraine's Rider going for home at the top of the straight. Led by 2.5 on in second spot, Zarbeat. Then Desperado, Larriston and Cedarburg on the inside. Followed by Ginga Dude and Leeton. And My Lucky Day want to be Talic to win from there. He's trying to wind up, but he's still a long way back as they run to the 200. And Cedarburg came up on the inside and grabbed Moraine. Leeton Martin's coming down the outside, but it's Cedarburg in front with about 150 to go. And in a day of upsets, there's another one here. Cedarburg won it from Moraine and Linton and Hawk Island, and then Larriston, Desperado and Lucky Day were never in the hunt. And further back was Beach. And at the head of the others next, we had Ginga Dude, followed by Extra Zero and Illustrious Blue, has clocked in at the back of the field.
Well, congratulations, Pat Carey, Damien Oliver. This horse, Cedarburg, has upset some of the hot pots here. They were all off the bit, the main chances before the turn. You saw Jimmy Cassidy already giving Lucky Day a couple of whacks with the whip before the turn. And
I told you before, punters, they are overdoing it, getting out wide here. D. Oliver saved all his ground. Geez, it was just like we had a replay of Corey Brown on Merger Lisa Lass. Then Moraine fights on the stablemate. Linton keeps coming. He
Which direction to go? He'd be a nice chance in the Sydney Cup with 51 on his back, wouldn't he?
I would think so, Pat. I think you'll be okay there. 51, you might need a new jockey, certainly. D. Oliver into the big time with a big name jock today.
Yeah, that's right. He probably won't even go there, but he's done his job and great ride. Damien sort of shaved the corner and was still managed to be in effective going and all credit to Dave.
yes, as I said, big strong horse, but Lucky Day and also Desperado came back looking absolutely exhausted with Moraine obviously getting that break on them, and they just were hard pressed to catch up. Cedarburg was able to.
It certainly was.
Pat Carey with Cedarburg, Damien Oliver, I think he's up to 87 or something like that now, but $27.30. Rode it like Blue Tiger, his previous winner in the BMW, beating Team Williams. You planned his program from last spring to where you are now.
Correct, and you don't run a horse in the AJC Derby at his fourth start unless you got a good belief in his staying ability.
Sydney Cup, he's in with a winnable weight and obviously a very teasing opportunity.
Yeah, look, back to the drawing board with him, Bruce. He's a lot better than that. Just with the Melbourne Cup's gutted him a bit, I think he'd be going to the paddock start again. Even coming out
Years ago, winning at long odds on Blue Tiger Route.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of an upset late race in modern times, and that was a little bit of an upset, although he is a very promising stayer and a touch of dominance in that win. Jockeys were overplaying the outside by this stage of the day, and a few had angled up on the inside, and it took them a while to jerry. But this horse had the best of the runs in the race, and he was too good. And he will be a good ride, a good chance in a race like the Sydney Cup, as will Moraine, who was beautifully rated in front. He went for home early. I suppose that's just his style, but his Sydney Cup trial was an absolute ripper as well. I don't know what to think about the favourite horses, Lucky Day and Desperado. On face value, they look pretty disappointing, and Linton just failed to finish off at 2,400. He could well be a 2,000-metre horse.
I think one thing we've got to keep in mind is the winner, the favourites, they're all young stayers. And young stayers, I think we try to sum up too quickly. I think we get a boom on them too quickly, and we write them off too quickly, and maybe people wrote Cedarburg off a little too quickly, and maybe they've put too big a boom on the other two. And you've got Linton there. He's a young stayer. Moraine's a bit of an old campaigner now, but I think, Zavit's hung on there quite well. He's an old campaigner. But these young stayers, just got to give them a little time and stop trying to sum them up in one run, because stayers just take a little bit more time to mature. And I think you've seen that with Cedarburg. That won't be his last decent staying win. I'll bet that forever. And, don't write off those other stayers yet, because it's just bad practice.
Just a little amongst the...
With big features coming up, this is the Daily Telegraph. George-Ryder Stakes, 9 individual Group 1 winners to go around here. We've got some pretty tough horses, some older horses against some of the young guns. And Richie, the I Love This City, you've got one of these as well. They've got Duncan.
It's almost Duncan McRae, one of the owners, just outside the door. I just meant to throw it away. Jeez. Wow. Number 1, Thesio, the war horse. He's back here. He's second up. He's $20 into $16 for Thesio. Ringy Ring Do, love the name. $18 to $19, back into $17. Number 3, the defending champion. Number 3, Dan Lee, $7 to $7.50. Wall Street, you need money to have shares there. 14 into 11. King Mufasa, $16. Centennial Park, Aloha. The Coolmore Classic winner, it's your favourite, $4.60, just out to $5, but a dominant favourite. I Love This City, $7, now out to $9, and silly odds. $8, Dan Lee. They bet 11. I can tell you he's now into $6, and he's only a point behind. Now he's into $5.50. Oh, geez, he's been very well backed.
30. So they're the main ones, but Dan Lee certainly very heavily backed on track. 3 and start. Love Cockers all jumped well. King Mufasa came out well with Dow Wall Street and Skilda's booting underneath them. And then came Rangi Rangdu, followed by Aloha settling in the leading group as well. Going around the outside, Thessia to improve, followed by Triple Elegance, and then Captain Sonador easing back from I Love This City. And they're about 4 lengths on Dan Lee. Centennial Park was next, and 3 to keep in the dream last of all. It's a real charge for the lead here. Love Conquers all doing some work, went up and hit the front and has got the lead away from Wall Street, and in the centre there is King Mufasa. Thessia left out pretty wide, followed by Dow and Skilled, and then Triple Elegance looks to be going a little bit keenly, followed by Rangi Rangdu as they head down the side of the track. And then came Aloha, followed by I Love This City, Captain Sonador, and then came Centennial Park. Danley is second last, and last is Keeping the Dream at the 600, and Thessia is charging up on the outside to put pressure on these leaders. It's Love Conquers all just in front of King Mufasa and Thessia. A Triple Elegance only a length off the lead. Aloha coming to the outside. Dow cutting through with Wall Street down nearer the inside, and Rangi Rangdu looking for a run in the centre. It's still Love Conquers all in front. Rangi Rangdu coming off its back. Triple Elegance and Aloha are down the outside. Dow the inside, and I Love This City. Aloha out in the middle of the track, and Rangi Rangdu and Triple Elegance and Love Conquers all. Rangi Rangdu hit the lead, and in a bobbing finish, it's close. Love Conquers all booted back right on the line. Rangi Rangdu or Love Conquers all. Thirds between Triple Elegance and Aloha. Then Centennial Park, followed by Dow and Skilled and Dan Lee from I Love This City. And then Captain Sonador, King Mufasa, followed by Thessia and Wall Street, and last was Keeping the Dream.
Well, between Rangi Rangdu for Chris Waller and Love Conquers all for the Hawks team, or just colours on the inside of Love Conquers all. Oh, maybe Rangi. We'll see. It's pretty deceptive.
He got it, Carolina.
Richie.
Number 2, Rangi Rangdu. He's back, the big fella. Number 2, Rangi Rangdu beats number 9, Love Conquers all.
And I wrestle just a class horse. Yeah, it's very hard for me because it's a credit to him staff. I just don't. The horse means a lot to you too, doesn't he? It's a serious injury, so yeah, let's hope he pulls up well. And what did you think? I mean, did you ever think you were going to lose this horse? I mean, oh, yeah, I guess we did. Yeah. So, yeah, it's pretty hard. But he's back, and you came in here still thinking you're a run short. So it's only his quality, his class, his heart that's got him there today. That's it. That's all I can say. And he is here, Carolyn, and you just get a feel for what it means to get so close to these outstanding animals as Chris does.
Absolutely, and it's been quite a scale. Of course, he won on Merchalisa Lass earlier in the day. That's a great result for Corey Brown here this afternoon, taking out a couple of the big features, the Group 1 Vinery, now the George Ryder Stakes.
What you don't get to know until you're associated with a good horse is what they actually can do and what he's done to get back from that injury. And
Well, 12 months ago, Chris, you never thought he'd race again.
yeah, that's what basically, yeah, we never admitted that, but that was basically what our vet, Dr. Tim Roberts, said. And with that said, Tim's helped get him back to where he was through a long rehabilitation process. But no, the cards weren't in our favour.
And he's a big, heavy horse too, and that probably makes it harder, doesn't it?
Very hard mark, yeah. He's a big...
Bad him when he pulled up lame, but this morning, much better news.
Yeah, very bright to get a phone call from Tim and my foreman to say he was a lot better. And I'll be looking forward to getting back there this afternoon to give him another pat.
An old saying in racing, Mark.
Between Triple Elegance and Aloha.
It was back-to-back in the George Ryder for Chris Waller, Rangi Rangdu, in a race of many good runs, but none better than that of the winner, $17.10 maxi div. Chris, will we see him again in Sydney?
SEO retired today.
Yeah, look, it's pretty devastating. He's been so good to the stable and himself, and but it all comes to an end at some stage, and thankfully he's going out in one piece, and you can go to the show jumping and that, and do really well.
There's a Doncaster market with More Joyous, the obvious favourite. Chris, you must have been well pleased with Triple Elegance yesterday.
Yeah, it was a top run. Couldn't have asked for anything more. Just like to see the horse settle a little bit better in Doncaster, but it was his first run for 4 weeks, and Jimmy assured me he'd get the horse to settle.
After returning from a tendon injury, and Chris Waller so satisfied with that win. The horse that he describes as his best mate, right?
Well, why wouldn't he be? He won at Doncaster with him, and he's gone through nursing him back from a tendon injury. Second run up after a year. To win a high-profile race like that, one of the best-looking George riders we've seen in years, was an amazing achievement. He pulled up a little lame after the race. He was a little bit short in his action, but apparently he's pretty good this morning. These old horses can, get a bit jarred up after a run, but apparently he's pretty good.
Well, Ronnie, I hate to bring this up, but didn't you question that horse's intention at one stage of his career?
That was a long time ago.
I know. That's my point. You're summing up young horses too quickly.
He's a great horse.
He and Love Conquers All, they fought like Libyan rebels.
Yeah.
They were just... They just would not give up. I couldn't believe Love Conquers All was still there in the last 50 metres. I thought, oh, you've got to get tired, because he had a hell of a run in the race, and he battled on. Only got nailed on the line.
Well, how strong is this More Joyous form? Because these two horses come out of the Canterbury Stakes where they only had 4 or 5 runners in it, remember? More Joyous bolted in, and Love Conquers All and Ringing Rang Do both were in that race, along with one other horse, I think, who of Snowden. So we'll keep an eye out on that form. That's very, very good form.
Interesting that the winner did pull.
King Mufasa's going back home. He pulled up a bit sore. Thessio's been retired out of yesterday, going to a property at Bowral. So, Ron, the end of a great career. Denise Martin and Star Thoroughbreds, it's been a really top-line horse.
Well, he's earned a good few $1 million. He's been a champion for the connections there, and he'll have a good life,
Slipper is only 22 minutes away from start time. $3.5 million up for grabs for these 2-year-olds and their connections. And of course,
he's been a big go again. Number 1 Seapoy. They bet $3.40. No. $3.40. I should do that. Phil Gould's got a copyright on that. No. $3.40 now into $2.70. Now into $2.60. $3.40 to $2.60 for the world's richest child race, the Amy Golden Slipper. Number 2, Smart Missile, $4.60, now out to $6. Running tall. Boy, we just heard from Peter Snowden. He thinks he's got him in the right order. 1-800-007-238. Number 1, Seapoy, $3.40 into $2.80. It did touch $2.60. He's a dominant favourite, Caroline, and he has been.
In here, Seapoy heavily back, got to $4 on course into $2. Caroline, they're moving in here. Seapoy heavily back, got to $4 on course into $2.60 at one stage, back to $2.80, $3.10 on the tote. And Missile, we're waiting for the stewards to advise us, but he's been led away from Glenn Boss. And I'm still awaiting the stewards to give us notification. Smart Missile, Glenn Boss is now coming out to talk to the starter and to the vet. So he's obviously pleading a case for Smart Missile to run. So this will be a sensation if Smart Missile is a non-runner. And numbers 2, Smart Missile, and 14, Fast and Sexy are late scratchings. At 4:08, 2 and 14, Smart Missile and Fast and Sexy are both out by order of the vet. Golden Slipper. And they're off and racing. And Alder jumped out fast. Satin Shoes away well. There goes Karuta Queen in the centre and Seapoy up there, followed by Foxwedge. Satin Shoes will now drift back to 4th. Followed on the inside by Mosheen, Alder going up on the outside now to improve, followed by Masthead, and then Hot Schnitzel, followed by Empress Rock. Salad's a long way back with Shared Reflections, and then Running Tall, followed by Saramina, and Elite Falls has crossed over onto the fence and is now second last. Karuta Queen raced away with a lead of about 3 lengths. Seapoy's on the inside of Foxwedge. They're doing the chasing. Satin Shoes behind them. On the outside is Alder. Mosheen going up on the rail. Masthead is midfield, about 2 lengths to Shared Reflections, and then Empress Rock as they turn, followed by Salad. Karuta Queen in front at the 300. Seapoy's out into the clear with Foxwedge. They're giving chase. Satin Shoes is coming down the outside, and then Mosheen. But Seapoy strode to the front now at the 200. He raced away 2 lengths in front of Foxwedge and Mosheen, and then Satin Shoes. But he's brought his A game today, Seapoy. He's going to absolutely blitz them, and Seapoy wins the slipper from Mosheen and Elite Falls. Then Masthead followed by Alta, Shared Reflections and Salad, and then Foxwedge followed by Satin Shoes, Karuta Queen. At the head of the others we had Running Tall, followed by Hot Schnitzel and Saramina. And last in was Empress Rock.
Well, Seaboy becomes one of the rare runners to win, or rare horses to win a Blue Diamond and a Golden Slipper. Number one, Seaboy, Karen McAvoy, and Peter Snowden takes out the Amy Golden Slipper for 2011. He's been the dominant colt right through the early races in Victoria. He's brought that form here to Sydney. Mosh
For you and
Best day of my life, apart from my marriage.
and all the staff here as well. Can you put it into words what watching that minute and a half meant to you?
I've worked my whole life for this. Everyone's got a signature race. This has been mine. It's the best film in my life.
You talk about the amount of work that you and your son Paul have put into getting to this day. You know what it means?
It's not just me, Bruce. It's my family. It's all my staff at home. Darley, the people that supported me, Bob Bingham, who appointed me as trainer of this place for Darley got here, and all the support Darley gave me. It's them I can't think enough.
You never show than anyone else. What's he really feeling like now?
He's a pretty humble person, but I just hope he savours the moment because he's always the first to thank everyone, and he deserves every bit of it. He's the only one that drives the ship, and he should be very proud.
You too, when you
Canny Lad, who's a Golden Slipper winner as well. So wonderful pedigree for this horse, Seaboy. English interims on your screen, $2.40, $1.40, $19.50 from Mosheen for second, and Elite Falls finished in third.
and you just see it in their faces and yours.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big team, and it's a great effort by everyone to get this horse here. He's a top class 2-year-old, and Peter and the team were able to get him to peak again. And I had to pinch myself there about the 800. I thought we've lobbed into a lovely spot, and there was heaps of scenarios sort of that we played through, mines, but that one worked out really well, and we were able to angle out, and the rest is history. He just had a great kick, and
It's a long preparation, hard to get a 2-year-old to peak. And did you ever lose faith when he got beat a fortnight ago in the tournament?
No, I didn't. For me, but after he won the lead up, the preview, I thought this horse is a bit better than we thought. And then he ran the prelude, and I thought, well, the way that he won it and the amount of work we gave him before that race, I said, this horse is extra special. And then when he come out and won the diamond around the time that he did, I said, this horse is a superstar. He's got to go to you cannot not look at the Clipper seriously. And the 5-week gap I had, I thought, well, that's plenty of time. I can fresh him and go again. And then I got him home, and he spent a week out of Surface Paradise out at our farm. I was like, you've got to go to him as big as you, Rich, in a week. And I said, I'm going to be in trouble here to get him back up again. Don't look at me like that, mate.
Really fly, Richard. Bounding away in quarter 9.89, Blue Diamond into the Golden Slipper. So it's a long time ago. 280 maxi div deductions, 19 cents and 16 cents with the scratchings. More on that later. But dominant victory, Pete. We'll talk about Don Ferguson was there for Darley yesterday and made much that Sheikh Mohammed was watching the
Day as it was yesterday, to know that he's felt that way and watched the race.
Jumped well from the barriers, and I've just followed Clary's filly. Coming to the turn, a few wanted to start getting off, and I just sort of got on the back of Sepoy. Sepoy was too good, but she's done a terrific job because I think she's going to be a better 3-year-old. But she's got a great
found the fence, run home terrific. Yeah, he went great. They've done a great job with him. They threw him in the race, and one thing you can't deny about him, he's so honest. And the Blue Diamond's form stood up again. He got beaten.
Saw a Smart Missile, that's a clear second favourite, scratch behind the barriers. Here's some footage of Glenn Boss. Now this was we got this through the stewards, and Glenn, to say the least, was happy. And Joe Bruin, of course, was the vet of the day. And it's basically just a standing rule, Richard, isn't it? That any horse which
none of us are vets. I saw Joe later, and you could feel it. You could see it in Joe's expression. He was kind of upset that he had to make the call, but you can understand Glenn being upset. Glenn Boss and also Glenn Schofield, but. Glenn's getting a little bit fired up, but as Joe said to the stewards, Glenn was just explaining to him, I think you've done the right thing there, Joe.
Well, yes, I did have Glenn in over.
He reared up and put his leg over the petition, and there's a rule there that says that once they've done that, the vet has the right to take them out. As I've said to them in the room, there is discretion allowed in that rule, and it seems to me that today there was none given.
Obviously, Glenn Boss was most disappointed. We saw him behind
to finish up the way it did.
Well, hopefully we'll see him next week.
I hope so.
Next week in the size. Pete, you mentioned about Seapoy in the spring. Obviously, Ferguson also mentioned the horse is most likely to go to Dubai. When is the decision made on that? I mean, do you have any input into that decision?
Look, it's a no-brainer. He needs to go there. We've got stallions, we've got studs both sides of the hemisphere, so the residual value in a horse that can win both sides of the continent, it's just unlimited. He's certainly got the ability to try, but
He now joins an elite band of horses to have won the Blue Diamond Golden Slipper Double. Only 5 have done it. The last to do it was in 1989. Quartzer. Aboard for the ride.
The Daly colours and for the big team. Peter rates the Golden Slipper fairly highly in his ranking, and he was over the moon, as everyone could see. So it's a great race, definitely.
4.5 lengths yesterday. The margin, I believe, is that the.
I think that was the Blue Diamond. Was it 2 lengths?
2 lengths yesterday.
Yeah.
2.5. Well, it was a big margin.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bigger margin than that, obviously, but I think you eased him up over the line. He must have felt a completely different horse.
Yeah, he did. He was back to his best. We had to really just swallow the pill last time when he got beat. But I was pretty confident it was the ground. He didn't travel at all, and that's very unlike him. His work all through since he's been back in Sydney has been pretty spot on. And
takes us back to the days of Manic.
They go hard in that because it seemed like the first 3 or 4 around the corner were the only horses in contention until the last 50 metres. There were a couple came home.
Yeah, it was pretty good tempo. It probably took 50 or 100 yards for Fruita Queen to sort of steam through and go to the front, but it was solid enough the whole way. It was what they run 110, just over 110. Yeah. So I thought it was a pretty good genuine gallop, and I'd rested enough in the run.
As far as other horses catching up to him, he just seems such a switched-on 2-year-old. Do you think he'll be as brilliant he is now as when he turns 3?
I think so, Ron. Yeah, he's got all those qualities of a horse going forward. He doesn't feel like the 2-year-old squib. Obviously he's some of those horses that just show speed. They do it all on nerves and they burn themselves out. But he's got that good attitude at home. He just cruises around. Saves him.
How hard it was going to be for a horse like Salard to win a slipper second start to race. But what about the filly that runs second there, Machine, the Flying Spur, the Fastnet Rock filly? She was sensational running second there. An elite fall, saving all the ground, minding her own business up on the fence. You really could. Masthead was very, very good also. But Fox Wedge, maybe the blinkers may have backfired. Going on the speed there, he folded, wanted to run about under pressure there, but all in all, the dominance of the winner was just something to behold.
And what about all the controversy at the start of the race with the Smart Missile mishap, Richard? The horse reared up in the gates and he was somewhat...
You make there, Joe, because I think it was only controversial as far as the connections were concerned, or some of the connections anyway, because the stewards have a policy, and the policy is that if a horse gets hung up in the gates, if he gets a leg over into the other stall, right, from rearing, if they're there for a significant period of time, and I think the period's about 40 seconds, that's generally where they draw the line on their policy, they scratch the horse.
Yeah, it's up a while.
It was up there a while. And yes, there may have been nothing wrong with the horse, but they have a policy because they can't actually know. A vet can have a look at it and he can draw a conclusion. And that's why they have the policy. And I think Ray Murray, he summed it up. You can see Glenn Boss here is very, very upset. He thought
understandably so.
Look, of course he's upset. Yeah. He's allowed to be upset. He's having a discussion with the veterinary steward there, Joe Bruin, who is doing his job. Glenn is doing his job. There was no altercation. There's nothing really serious going on. There's a bit of frustration. And the horse is scratched. But the steward, I think Ray Murray summed it up perfectly. He said, we have a policy. We get it right more than we get it wrong. And that's why we have a policy.
Taken into consideration.
Yeah.
So.
It was just an unfortunate racing incident. It's as simple as that.
It's the races going. It's the races going to a narrow lead. Do Delicious, the Tenby Friar, Rio Dane behind those. Followed then by Amber's Kingdom. There goes Playing God. He's setting off around them wide. Dream Away held up behind a wall of horses coming into the home straight. They fan. It's the races in front. Rio Dane got a run on his inside. Here comes Playing God opening up though with a great turn of acceleration. The Tenby Friar and Dream Away. She's starting to thread away through. Playing God hits the lead. 100 to go. Dream Away going with him for races. Battling back. Dream Away. Grab Playing God. Dream Away. She's a super filly.
Great filly. She defied history. She's got them all. What more can you say? She's a ripper.
She sure is. It was an arrogant performance by the filly Dream Away to win yesterday's West Australian Derby, beating the favourite Playing God, who's been campaigning in Melbourne, obviously, and was beaten as the odds-on favourite at his last start. Dream Away by More Than Ready. yesterday producing dominant fillies on either side of the country. More Joyous in
Good
Sydney.
start, isn't it? Good start. And I loved watching this race. I was watching Parnham doing everything right, just stalking the filly. She ran into a dead end. He peeled to the outside and kept his eye on her. I thought, you're going to get away with this, Steve. This is going to be one of the best rides I've ever seen. But Willie Pike got the run through, and the acceleration of that filly was just unbelievable. A good filly, a good colt, and he's been up a while, been to Melbourne and back for an Australian Cup, beaten by a better horse on the day. Great race.
Yeah, that was
Ready from very big race, and he's getting out to about the $1.70 mark here on track. So bookmakers prepared to sort of gamble with him, considering this is probably the easiest assignment he's had for a while.
Well, here he is. 16 starts, 12 wins, 1.1 million. What about Galloper, is he? He's a ripper. He bumped into Black Caviar last start, and like most horses that bump into Black Caviar, they see who to streak away. But he's back here this afternoon. If he is fit and right, he is the one to beat.
Definitely is. We might mark on track. He's now out to 170 and easing out to 175.
We've got Haylist as the dominant favourite, 175 into 165, and even shorter on the New South Wales TAB at 160. He's drawn barrier number 1, Mum's Challenge Stakes. They're right, they're off and racing. Well, Haylist from the inside, he didn't jump all that well. Keen Commander and Solar Charge were the best two into stride. Winter King was next. Haylist with the advantage of the insiders starting to rail up, and will Fact go to third, followed by La Remlap, who's out deep, and Kenny's World is just inside it. Settling down in the local, King Commander led, hasn't crossed, and Haylist is underneath at 3/4 off the lead. Solar Charged is third, and she's hard ridden by Oliver. La Remlap on the outside, Winter King next, and last of all is Kenny's World. As they round the home turn in the Challenge Stakes, Keen Commander the leader. Schofield sitting quietly on Haylist with the advantage of the inside. It'll come through and get level now. And then further back, Solar Charge, Winter King under the whip from La Remlap. Haylist now given more rain, moved up and got level with Keen Commander. Solar Charge is trying to rally down the outside. Haylist and Keen Commander settling down to fight it out. Haylist in the inside, just in front, and falls in to beat Keen Commander. He gets the winning feeling back, Haylist from Keen Commander and Solar Charged. And then Winter King, followed by Kenny's World, and La Remlap finished at the back of the field.
The favourite scores, number 1, Haylist. Few anxious moments there. He's paid $1.50, $1.20. He gets the job done. Glenskoe, good performance. He gets there. Again, stress, not the most convincing of margins, but a win is a win. And I'm sure John McNair would be very happy to get away with that this afternoon. 1, 2, 6, and 4, the interim dividends there. The English interims, 150, 120 about the winner. Team Commander second run.
Well, I'm more worried about the start, Brent. I think he's still got a mental thing about the jumping at the gates from what happened in the Lightning, and we've got to overcome that. That's more than likely, I would say, why he's got left like he did. But he mustered pace, got himself back up there, animal, regardless of anything else. And really looking forward to the TJ, and you never know, maybe even the All Age yet.
Oh, well, enjoy the...
Brent, he really travelled keenly once he got into stride, and I think I was fortunate that I was able to hold King Commander out, because if I hadn't have been able to do that, I think he would have been a world of bother today. But look, he's got the job.
Stakes over the famous Randwick Mile.
260, then back to 290. And we've got Tuda Kalari, 550 into 480. I think he got to probably silly odds at the 550. And what else have we got there in the betting? Divorces, 460 out to 7. I suppose you're a little bit of a query at the... Here they go. Off and racing. Happy Trails missed it. Quarter bar only began fairly. And Circle of Power landed in front. The Ruffian came out well and needs further. The heavily back favourite going up with Shadows in the Sun. And settling up with them is Divorces, but Needs Further will win the battle for the lead and lead out just past midfield, but starting to edge forward, followed by Riva de Largo, and then Song Shan and Diamond Jim at the tail of the field. Inside the 600, Shadows in the Sun by a length. Needs Further outside of it. Back in third spot now, starting to move up on the outside is the Ruffian. It's taking closer order. Followed by Circle of Power, then Divorces, and at the head of the others, Potions. Up the rise, Shadows in the Sun in front. from on the outside of it, Needs Further, who now takes over. The Ruffian's trying to go with it, followed by Circle of Power, and then Divorces getting out into the clear, but Needs Further shot away with about 200 to go, raced away from Divorces and Shadows in the Sun, and Needs Further's going to win the Carbine Club, punched out. It goes down to the post to win it. Divorces got second, Shadows in the Sun third, then Happy Trails, followed by Potions and Song Shan, then the Ruffian who loomed up but died from Quarter Bar, and then Circle of Power at the head of the others, Riva Delago. Kuta Kalari was never in the hunt, and Diamond Gem has finished last of all.
Number 7 Needs Further. Well, there's some recompense for Gory and Gay Waterhouse.
So, what sort of goal could you envisage?
Out of Crown Glory, well, we will remember, of course, we thought she was the winner of a Golden Slipper back in 2000 when she was pipped at the post by Belle de Jour. So, Danehill mare they've developed at Gory and Eduardo Coenco and the team are the Sydney Cup. This is the Schweppes Chairman's Handicap. A Group 2, 2,600 metres, Goree were the winners in Gay Waterhouse of the previous. Older Than Time, the Sky High winner, getting good support on course. Rich?
Yeah, very much the Boss Waterhouse stable. It's been the best back runner thus far in the 25. The Black Flash, Black Caviar.
Ridden to lead, in fact. On the tote, Older Than Time at $4.40 is the favourite. Now we've got about 6 or... And coming out a little bit slowly was Count in Costa and Saint in Costa. They're both going back to the tail with Stand Again. Once Were Wild landed in front. Miss Keepsake racing up closer today. She's striding forward up near the lead. And going with it, Miss Darcy from the Patriot, Older Than Time, trying to slot in behind them, followed by Sailor Gurr. Then a nudge winning about 7 spot on the outside early as they go past. Third was Show Cause. They're going up closer. Further back was Tinseltown, Stand Again, and then Count in Costa and Saint in Costa last of all. Once Were Wild at the 1,000, led by 3.5. Miss Darcy second, going to a clear second now over Miss Keepsake. And then a nudge one who's improved to 4th, followed by Older Than Time in the centre. The Patriot on the inside of it from Speed Gifted. Strike runs, he'll sleep well tonight. He's been out very deep all of the way, followed by Show Cause and then Sailor Gurr back along the inside. Cybercrime next from Stand Again, Tinseltown, Sandberg, and then came Count in Costa and Saint in Costa last. Once Were Wild at the 500, still a big leader. About 3 in front of a nudge one going after with Miss Keepsake. Miss Darcy's dropped off, and then Older Than Time, followed by the Patriot. And at the head of the others, Speed Gifted and Sailor Gurr's got nowhere to go. But Once Were Wild, she raced away. She's about 3 lengths in front. A nudge one in second spot. Older Than Time next, and Sailor Gurr's seeing some daylight. He's now switching to the inside, but Once Were Wild is still clear. About 2 or 3 lengths in front from in second spot, a nudge one and Sailor Gurr. Older Than Time, and Once Were Wild all the way goes on to win the Champions from a nudge one and Sailor Gurr. Then Flashing Home Late, Count in Costa, followed by Older Than Time. At the head of the others next, Tinseltown from Sandberg, then Strike Ball.
Well, number 3, Once Were Wild, back to her home track here of Royal Randwick. The AJC Oaks winner just led them a merry dance. Nashra Willer on board, he rated her to perfection.
Second, $8. So the maxi, please, www.com. How great value is that with Sporting Bet? $10.10 the maxi div, Caro.
Yeah, that's a
Wrong there, Singer, and he was, and she was right. Once Were Wild, the Bleakers coming off a great temp, didn't he?
Did he? What?
There's the fixed odds market. sportingbetaustralia.com.au. Come with me. My right favourite, 550 to Once Were Wild, above average.
Surprised. Tinseltown wasn't bad. He'll run big odds in the Sydney Cup, and if he runs in it, and won't disgrace. But I'm all over Sailor Gurr as far as the future's concerned here.
Let's have a look at the Sydney Cup market.
Coming up the next race, the Doncaster Prelude. But I tell you what,
I think Carol and big team around there. Peter Moody down there doing all he can as usual. In fact, he was leading the mare around. I think she had a head on the
back, $7 in the 6. Bold Glance, 14, 15, 14. Empire's Choice, unmoved at 26. Mentality, 850.
Bit of mover. Hidden Wonders bouncy around racing. My Kingdom of 5 missed it. Hidden Wonder jumped well. Bold Glance came out of the stalls fast, and Brilliant Light going forward, and Glints along the inside. So it's Glints and Brilliant Light. They're settling down in front, followed by Hidden Wonder, Mentality, and then 4 inches out, 4 wide on a limb. Leprechaun and Snow Alert underneath it, followed by My Kingdom of 5, and then Altered Boy, Pagan Princess, and last of all is Vision and Power. Well, they've really clapped the speed on these leaders. Can they keep going? It's clinched by a length on Brilliant Light, 2 to Hidden Wonder. Mentality's under the stick, followed further back by Empire's Choice, Viking Hero. Leprechaun looking to come through in the centre. Bold Glance down the outside and Snow Alert's pulled to the extreme outside. Brilliant Light led, but Hidden Wonder went up and claimed it. Bold Glance is coming down the outside. Along the inside, My Kingdom of Fife. And All the Boy is starting to run on from the back. It's Hidden Wonder, Bold Glance, My Kingdom of Fife, and All the Boy. My Kingdom of Fife went up on the inside to grab Hidden Wonder and Bold Glance. And it's My Kingdom of Fife, the reg outsider, gets up to win it at his first Australian start from Hidden Wonder. Third home, Bold Glance from Altered Boy and Vision and Power. Then Leprechaun and Viking Hero, followed by Snow Alert, Empire's Choice, Mentality, Brilliant Light, Herculean Prince. Well, you can forget he...
Well, that is some training performance by Chris Waller. First up since August 2010, My Kingdom of Fife, the former UK galloper in the Richard Peagham colours, has taken out the Doncaster Prelude. That is a super ride there. I tell you what, this horse, in the end, number 9, started 150 to 1 on course, 60 to 1 on the tote.
And he's got big things in store.
He does, yeah. This horse, he's had now 20 starts. That's his 4th win, but he's had 8 minor placings too. That's his first start in Australia.
Power.
Bought off the Queen by Richard Peagham, Big Robbie Willis and Mike Byes. Well done to them. One of them's had a decent lash at the SP. Maxi Div for $101 SP. Now, there's a ruling on that. That's why that looks a bit silly. FP $151. First start in Australia. Wallace said it couldn't win. He didn't think it could, but the horse, well, that's the nature of racing. Horses can make you look silly at times. Good start for this horse in Australia. It was going to go to the Wagga Cup. Now might go to the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, well, Richard Peagham's got an association, of course, with Wagga and that, and was the aim, I think, 3rd up to the Wagga Cup. Yeah, look, I talked to Chris regularly. He didn't think it had a hope in the world, thought it might run midfield. But he's had a big rap on it. Don't get him wrong. He's always had a big rap on Kingdom of Fife. Oh, Richard Peagham, he's a very, very...
I just want to mention Dwayne Dunn, terrific rider, underrated jock in the carnivals. You'd love to have him on anything.
And a lovely bloke.
Dollars. My Kingdom of Fife, plucked out of the UK by Chris Waller. Richard.
Look, I don't think these are the Doncaster Mile horses. In fact, I'll bet on that. They're not the Doncaster Mile horses. That horse has done a good job. Obviously, a talented horse got under everyone's guard, including the stables. But he was at $151, and he was the first of the big 6 races. Now, that knocked out most people.
Elegance at $7 and Aloha at $9. I love this city and the others at double figure odds.
Yeah, look, as I mentioned at the top of the show.
Fence there for over and how to get a glimpse of the champion mare, Black Caviar. She's currently $1.12. She's just about to come into the mounting yard, and you can see jockeys lined up to get a glimpse of her. Kids, so many people.
Black Caviar, and she's in the parade ring as we speak, and it's great for racing. Let's go down the board, then we can have a look at this girl. And it's great to see, like Glenn Boss has ridden Mackivy Dean to win 3 Melbourne Cups. He hasn't got a ride in the race. He's out in the yard looking at her. Number 1 Hayless, $17 to $19. Shootout, $17 out to 21. All Silent, 100 to 1. Triple Honour at $1 demerit. The mare, Black Caviar, $1.14 into $1.12. Alberta, 61 to 71.
By Bella Spree. She's the family of Verlander, Magnus, Scandinavia. Pete Moody's done a super job. Luke Nolan just getting legged aboard there. And Pete Moody looking nice and relaxed, as does this mare. She looks as if she's just loving a different environment. Hasn't taken any harm from the travel by the looks of her. And she's just absolutely super here in the yard as she emerges into the sun.
What do you say about Black Caviar? We're here to see her. And it's great that the owners and the trainer and have all boarded to Sydney. The managing
with it, and it's great that the public perception here in Sydney has been just as big as Melbourne. The people that have come from all over.
It's back into $21. All Silent, 100 to 1, best price it's been. Number 4 Triple Honour, they bet 200 to 1. It's now $151. Number 5 Shell Scrape, $81, best price it's been. Number 6 Demerit, $71, best price it's been. Number 7 Black Caviar, $1.14, $1.12, back to $1.14, $1.20 the tote. Outstanding.
He's set to go for the Darley TJ Smith Stakes. And they're set. They're off and racing. Black Caviar jumped a touch awkwardly. She's about 3rd or 4th settling down. Haylist went up on the outside and hit the front. And led from Crystal Lily. Black Caviar going through in the centre. Shell Scrape on the outside. They're about 3 lengths in Alberta. Hincham Rook followed further back by Response and Shootout and Demerit. And then Triple Honour and back last of all Silent. It's List in front at the 800. He went over onto the rail and led by a length and a half. In second spot is Crystal Lily, Black Caviar running third, and Shell Scrape on the outside of it. Hinchinbrook back fifth on the rail. Then Alberta in the centre, followed by Shootout, Triple Honour. Responses and travelling all that well. Demerit over on the fence, and last of all, as they make the turn, is All Silent. Running for home, and Haylist the leader. He's about 2 or 3 lengths in front of Crystal Lily. Black Caviar has pulled to the centre of the track, but he's giving Haylist, or she's giving Haylist about 4 or 5. And then came Hinchinbrook. It's Haylist in front, Black Caviar. She's starting to knuckle down to the task now. Here she comes, Black Caviar. She raced up and hit the lead. And the Black Caviar, the best in the world, races away and wins it by about 3 lengths to the roar of the crowd. Haylist got second, possibly Alberta third from Triple Honour and Hinchinbrook, and then came Response, followed by Crystal Lily, and then came All Silent Shootout, followed by Demerit, and last in was Shell Scrape.
Black Caviar, 12 from 12. She's done what we hoped she would do. She's come here and she's blown them away. There was a little bit of heart in the mouth stuff. She lost about a length coming into the straight. Haylist, he looked like he was going particularly well, but then you look back, you see this is Black Caviar. You heard the crowd roar, and she is just a superstar. And she's given so many racegoers and so many...
The best in the world, albeit with a touch of a flutter in the first half of the race.
Oh, listen, he's a hell of a good horse, and that's probably the best we've seen Haylist run since his blistering wins at the Valley. And, I don't think it's any small task to be running him down. He's a super horse, but I'm just fortunate that I've got a superstar.
It was great to see something different with her today. Chased down a horse perhaps at the peak of his form, so a great sign for her.
Oh, listen, she's got that relaxed, laid-back mannerism about her, that's why I've always had the feel that she could probably run whatever trip you wanted. I'm not suggesting relaxed nature, and we've never been 4 runs into a prep. Maybe she's telling us that she's going to be a hell of a miler.
Comes back, Pete. Black Caviar, the best in the world. Well done, mate.
Cheers, Bruce. No tears, boys.
Super reaction.
Correct weight on the tears.
Soak up this atmosphere here. That crowd roar, we saw it with the greats like Octagonal and Mackay Diva going back through the greats such as Talic. That crowd reaction just super here at Royal Randwick. So many children carrying the flag, so many adults.
2 3/4 by 5. 108.71. This is double at the emotion.
Asked for an effort sort of when we got the rise behind us and done the rest.
Did you learn anything new about her today, given the way she raced?
No, she's relaxing. Like she's never been a rip and tear going thing anyway, and just down the straight, sort of when she toes up, because she's able to do it, and when she's at one curve on a corner, she just seems to relax. But it's not a bad problem to have in these sprinting races.
Did you get to the bottom of it today?
I don't be cheeky if I said I didn't, but she still, I think, had a look when she got there. So she should be open to further improvement. That first experience this way. So if she stays in one piece, look out for winter.
What about when you went onto the track today and the crowd? Down, Haylist in the second fastest 1200 metres ever run on a dead track punters here at Royal Randwick.
They gave a roar when Black Caviar went after Haylist and got him. What a winner was. I thought maybe she was giving away too much start, but you can't doubt her, can you?
No, she is some of the races might come once a year that might not have been there to come and experience something so special. And I think Glenn Schofield's been responsible for of our great quotes. Last year in Melbourne, when he said that everyone else knew, now Don McNair and I know, but she's the best. And yesterday, when he popped the rise, he said, "No way today you're going to get me." He said, then I heard the crowd start to cheer, and I thought, they're not cheering for me. And he was right, they weren't. The black man, she was super duper.
Is All Silent running for home, and Haylist the leader. He's about 2 or 3 lengths in front of Crystal Lily. Black Caviar has pulled to the centre of the track, but he's giving Haylist, or she's giving Haylist about 4 or 5. And then came Hinchinbrook. It's Haylist in front, Black Caviar. She's starting to knuckle down to the task now. Here she comes, Black Caviar. She raced up and hit the lead. And the Black Caviar, the best in the world, races away and wins it by about 3 lengths to the roar of the crowd. Haylist got second, possibly Alberta third from Triple Honour and Hit.
That roar of the crowd was palpable there yesterday. $1.30 Maxi Div, thanks very much. Met a punter yesterday. He just had a shabby 1.65 million. He flew in from Singapore, put 1.65 down. Maxi Div, $1.30. 12 in a row. First time a horse has done that in Australian racing. 5 Group 1s in a row. I like 12 in a row, all these sorts of things. But It's more about the occasion, I think, Mark, yesterday. Forget about all the history and the stats.
How do you think he felt there at the top of the straight, the 1.6 on and giving away 5?
I felt awful with $50.
Oh, please. What about when she got to, the others were in a different race bar Haylist, who was absolutely the peak of his game yesterday, Haylist. He couldn't have gone an ounce, a millimetre better.
He proved out aside from Warwick Farm, didn't he? He ran out of his skin.
He goes wherever. Someone said the other day to John Minier, where are you going to go? He said, well, I'm going wherever she doesn't go. So, and one thing, like at Glen Schofield, you had to make Black Caviar work. He said, you know what? I don't think I did. He said, no, he said, I looked over. He said, I almost broke my neck. He said, I looked to the left to see where she was, and I had to follow her as she went past me. She was awesome yesterday. And I'll tell you what was special too. We're racing people, and our audience are watching TVN, and we're bringing the top class racing. But the association of TVN, you get the free-to-air network. So you got so many people outside of TVN that never watch racing, get to watch it on Channel 9 yesterday. So yeah, that's what TVN's about, taking top-class racing to the people of the country. Well, and Mark, you must be now to see her. Now you've called her. I remember that day for a hell of a long time. And
As she conquered again, the world's highest rated racehorse, Black Caviar, stole the show on AJC Australian Derby Day. Ronnie Duffy, what more can be said about this great man?
Nothing more can be said. It was just been a privilege to be out there yesterday, and
race day. They had the right track, they had the right weather, they had the right horses there. They got the champion saluting. She delivered again. Even then, when she was, I enjoyed the race because she was under pressure for a while, and we don't see that a lot from her. That's the longest I think I've seen her under pressure in a race. Because Haylist did a wonderful job of dragging her off the bit early. It was good tactics and a good plan. Didn't come off because she's a freak. But, the Derby was
From 12, an extraordinary winning streak for this mare. She's now headed further north to the Brisbane Winter Carnival, Ronnie, to likely contest the BTC Cup and potentially the Doomben 10,000. What about poor old Haylist? Yesterday, ran the race of his life only to be mowed down.
He was gallant in defeat. He set that race up for the race that unfolded. He was obviously he'd had some few issues this preparation with injuries and a few little setbacks, but he brought his A game Haylist there, and he took the mare out of a comfort zone for a little way. But when she lets down, she's a machine. And considering what time they run here on a dead, this was a dead 5 track, probably upgraded to a dead 4 by this stage, but 1877. On a day where they weren't running fast times, that just shows you how good she is.
You know what? When she straightened, there's about 400 metres to run there at Randwick when you straighten. Between there and the 300 metre
crowd.
The crowd was into it. Between there and the 300 metre mark, there was a bit of breath holding. Because she was under pressure and not really making a lot of ground on Haylist. But then by the time between the 300 and the 150, she made up 4 lengths on him and had him. That's where she just has reserves that the others don't have. He's wonky licked the rest of them. They're good sprinters. He's beaten them 5, Haylist. And as Alan Thomas said, and I think he summed it up beautifully yesterday, he was watching from Queensland where he was broadcasting, he said, how would you feel if you were Haylist?
Yeah.
You've beaten the others 5 and you've been flogged.
Exactly.
Well, John McNair said he thought he had him at his best to beat her. He's just run into a once-in-a-lifetime horse. He's my once-in-a-lifetime horse, and I'm getting beaten by another once-in-a-lifetime horse. So it's
that was
a bit
proven.
of bad luck.
They say the definition of a champion is a horse that can beat good horses by big margins, and that was a classic case there. That happening. The next question is, I think there's talk of Peter Moody thinking that she can run a mile. I don't know if that's going to happen this next preparation or what, but everything's just gone according to script for her. He said, I've got 6 races for her this preparation. Everything's been planned to perfection. She'll go to Queensland now, and he'll cross tick off another thing with her first flight trip away. Little trip to Queensland, and that'll just tick off to say, well, you're okay to travel overseas now. You can handle the little plane trip.
Importantly, she travelled well to Sydney.
But when you get you've seen the performances of Bart Cummings, but even he is in awe of this mare that we've got past. I mean, he mentioned to me yesterday, Saintly and Octagonal were 2 that came to mind for Bart Cummings, but he said she is just a star.
In the third cup was a big roar, obviously, but we're talking Melbourne Spring there. But this was unprecedented in Sydney for a long, long time, and it might be in the future as well, considering we're struggling to get crowds in the modern day.
I'm not a big thing of last 2 horses I think I've seen in my lifetime, and I did see Kingston Town, have a huge respect for him. But I think the best two horses are probably two mares, like Caviar and Mackay Diva. It's amazing. Horse racing, my best two of my lifetime are two mares. That's pretty unusual, I think.
Even standing where we were doing the interviews after the meeting yesterday near the jockey's car park just inside Ellison Road, you could see the general public were leaving outside the Ellison Road gates and they were waving their black Caviar flags and they were still discussing a race that had happened 3 hours ago. I mean, it's just fantastic. Joe?
Jet won 22 straight, Gloaming 19, Ajax 18 straight, Carbine and Burnborough 15 straight, Farlap 14 he strung together in a row, Talic 12, Black Caviar 12 of course, and she remains unbeaten as I said, in Kingston Town 11. These are the international winning streaks. A horse called Kinson won 54 straight in the 1870s in Hungary and remained unbeaten. And the great Zenyatta, who retired last year, she won 19 great winning streaks, Rebo, Cigar and Citation.
It was interesting, Joe. I spoke with Patrick Shaw last night, the trainer of Rocket Man, who can't wait to meet Black Caviar. He watched the race from Singapore. He said, "Bring it on, Richard. Black Caviar, Rocket Man." He said, I don't know where we'll meet, but we're going to meet one day in the next 12 months. And they want to.
We gave it a good shot. We got a sort of chasing us for a change. It didn't really work, but he ran out of his shoes, and it was a great race. And on his behalf, but she's just too good, isn't she?
Yeah, ran really well, held her own. She certainly won to follow through the Brisbane Winter Carnival. Obviously, her best trip's probably a bit further than 1200, and she was in a top-notch field, but she was probably a bit unlucky not to get the bob in for third, but she ran well.
Yeah, she did. They were gallant. Some of them.
I dispute what Glenn said. I think the tactics did work. I think they worked as well as they could possibly have worked on the day. I think they were great tactics. I don't know why I'd be disappointed to say it didn't work, but it did.
It was worth a throw at the stumps.
It's a Group 1. This is the English Sires Produce Stakes. And Richie, you're even imbibing in a little bit. Never thought I'd see you drinking malt.
No, look, we've got the price up. We've got to show the Moe. I've got the Moe on as well, everyone. I've never drank this expensive champagne.
Produce, they think they might have another Group 1 winner in Pete Snowden's stable in the Darley team. And that would be Helmet, I would imagine, because he's by Exceed and Excel, one of their stallions too. And he is a horse that right from his first start, he
Jumped on turns with him, Fast and Sexy came out well. So too did Helmet and Do You Think. And Awate driving through as well. Elite Falls is up much closer today. She's running fifth, followed by King's Pact. And then there's midfield on the rail. A length the boys on tour disputes, Plain in the Glass and Last is Shared Reflections. They haven't gone all that quickly. And Uwate and narrow leader over Helmet on the outside. Do You Think starting to stride forward without any cover. He's running third. Elite Falls going up in the centre. Fast and Sexy on the rail. Then King's Pack, followed by Exceed and Exalt. Right to the outside, Disputes is next, and then Boys on Tour. And further back, Shared Reflections, it's Uwate and Helmet, followed by Do You Think. Elite Falls has got not much room behind them as they run to the 200. It's Helmet moving up on the outside. Took a narrow lead from Awate, then Do You Think, Fast and Sexy, Elite Falls. It's Helmet and Awate. Helmet on the outside's got his head in front. Awate on the fence, but Helmet wins the sires. Helmet from Awate. Down the outside, Paint in the Glass, I'd say, got up for third. And there's a wall for fourth. Shared Reflections is there with Disputes, King's Pact, Elite Falls. Fast and Sexy, Do You Think wasn't up to it, followed by Exceed and Exalt. And at the tail of the field, we've got Boys on Tour.
Two legs of the Sydney 2-year-old Triple Crown go the way of Pete Snowden and Darley. Karen McAvoy on board Helmet. They won the Golden Slipper last week with Sepoy, and Helmet has come out and taken out the sires. He's had some problems.
We have a look at the helicopter as McAvoy holds on tight, pulls the whip through left hand.
The Group 1 juvenile races in the country. Sepoy, of course, the Blue Diamond into the Golden Slipper. Now Helmet appears after missing out on the Victorian sires to win the AJC English Size Produce Stakes. I think them actually did $5.90, ridden by Karen McAvoy. And it's a big team operation, Darley, and these are the races.
Look at on his behaviour there yesterday.
Just give him a little tap down the shoulder in that trial, and he still went to do a duck to the left.
Yeah.
But I pulled the stick through to the left hand yesterday, and I don't reckon I've hung on to tight enough. So he's still sort of, it feels like he's still looking around and got more to give. So that's the exciting thing about him, and he might be a blinker horse.
Chestnut Colt Helmet Karen McAvoy describes as a larrikin, winning yesterday's consolation for the slipper, if you like. And is that all it is after yesterday, Richard?
Well, it's hard to tell, but I think it probably is. So horses that didn't run in the slipper ran well there, and horses that ran in the slipper didn't run so well. I thought Elite Falls looked a little bit tired, and no doubt she'll go to the paddock. But this horse, he's got a lot of raw ability, as Karen says. He did play up behind the gates again. He was sweating up. They had to blindfold him to put him in the gates, which he accepted quite well. So he improved since he came up from Melbourne. He raced quite tractably and straight. Look, I think he's well above average 2-year-old, but are they stellar bunch? I have my doubts.
Well, we don't know because this wasn't a contest. This is a trot and canter and a sprint home. This wasn't competitive at all. If you talk to the stable, they say he's as kind as a kitten, this Helmet. He's just had a couple of them little kills in the barrier and he's being a bit of a lad. Uarte, he still looks like a foal. He's a chance of making a horse, Uarte. When he goes to the paddock.
Shoe is the favourite. $2 on the tote and Achiever, the Caulfield Guineas winner, 29. Retrieve. Can he turn it around and keep a great day for Darley going 9.40? Presido. Riverdo. I think you can for Bar Cummings at $12. Shadow of High Destiny. King Gladiator's a chance at a big prize.
The 150th David Jones AJC Australian Derby, and the runners are not far away from coming into the yard.
We know what's happening in the 150th running of the David Jones AJC Australian Derby. Number 1, Jimmy Shoe. $2.30, I can tell you it's out to $2.50, Jimmy Shoe. Number 2, Achiever, 19 to 21, back into 19. 1-800-007-238. sbet.mobi, sportingbet.com.au. She's the market mover in front of number 1.
Yeah, she's mixed it with the bull Strawberry Road. Rosa Kingston, the filly that won and beat the Colts, and back further to Kingston Town and Dulcify. Super race, the David Jones AJC Australian Derby.
King Gladiator playing up. Racing in the Derby. And Doomsky missed it slightly. Light Brigade was the best out. Jimmy Shoe jumped fairly from the inside. Shadow of Excellence and Anachiever going forward. And He's Remarkable and Retrieve from Wide Alleys are rolling forward as well. So as they go past the judge and Shadow of Excellence put its head in front from He's Remarkable, who's coming across from a wide alley. Light Brigade is third. And then Anachiever followed by Retrieve. Now he's back in about fifth spot at the moment and 3 wide. Jimmy Shoe over on the rail, and then came Masquerader, followed by Doomsky, 3 lengths to Shamrocker. She's found a lovely spot, the filly, about 3 lengths to High Destiny, and then halfway along the back. And the New Zealander, He's Remarkable in front. He's in front by a length or so on Retrieve and Light Brigade, followed by Shadow of Excellence, and then Jimmy Shoe, who's locked away on the inside of Anachiever. They're about 4 or 5 off the lead at the moment from Doomsky, and then came Masquerader. King Gladiator starting to stride forward out 3 wide to take a more forward position, followed there by Shamrocker, who's now being passed by a couple of runners. High Density next, Presido going around the outside, and then I Think I Do, and last of all is Ducarius heading down the side, 800 to go. Michael Rod's got He's Remarkable in front by a length on Retrieve. Niggle along in second. Then Light Brigade third from Shadow of Excellence. Jimmy Chew is over on the inside. Outside it, Anachiever. Now Shamrock is starting a run. Boss is starting to roll forward on her. Followed by King Gladiator. Then Doomsky, Presido, I Think I Do, Masquerader. And at the head of the others, High Density, but Retrieve took over in the Derby. Straight away, but Boss looks super confident here on Shamrocker. It's coming up on the outside, and then Jimmy Shoe, but down towards the 200, Retrieve in front. Shamrocker on the outside. They're about 3 on Anachiever. Retrieve won't go in without a fight. On the outside, Shamrocker raced up to it. It's Shamrocker putting its head in front of Retrieve. Shamrocker, the first filly in 22 years to win the Derby, strides away, and Shamrocker beat Retrieve. Anachiever got third, and then Presido, followed by King Gladiator and Jimmy Shoe, and then Light Brigade, followed by I Think I Do, Doomsky and Shadow of Excellence, and then at the head of the others, High Destiny, Masquerader. He's Remarkable coming in a long second last, and Ducarius is just coming past the post now.
First filly to win the AJC Derby, or ATC Derby as it is now, since research. Shamrocker, she's mixed it with the boys, beat them in the Australian Guineas, and she's beaten them here today over the 2,400 metres in the Australian Derby. Well done to Shamrocker.
Beat the boys before and she's done it again.
Yes, look, she's done a pretty rare double now, Australian Guineas and Australian Derby for a filly. I don't think it's ever been done before, and she's been awesome in both wins.
And absolutely awesome. You've never doubted her in any way. You've always thrown her in at the deep end.
She's a filly that we've sort of always been waiting for 1.5 mile races, and on the way towards it, she's been able to win a size in Australian Guineas. But I think you really saw the best of her today at the 2,400, and hopefully she'll get better even next season as a 4-year-old.
Back up at the Oaks?
We are, yeah. Look, it was only 4th run in today, and it was just the ideal lead up for the Oaks. But yeah, obviously, whatever happens from here, we'll be thrilled about.
And it's a great story behind the team, fantastic. And in the spring, long term for her, which is sort of mare, there's still got a lot to come, a lot to give.
Look, she loves Flemington, and I've got no reason to think she can't run the 2 miles. So hopefully, we've got a busy 6 months.
Normally, the AJC Derby when it goes up.
Star. He's a gem of a ride. Geez, the big time, the big man stands up. He is a genuine superstar. $521.80 for number 14, Shamrocker. The maxi div 6.
I asked her, got into a good spot early, and it was all about just talking to her throughout the race, and she was just obeyed every command I asked for, and she just relaxed. The tempo slowed about the 1400 metre mark to about the half mile. I knew Retrieve had a pretty soft section up there, so I wanted to sort of get out behind a couple of ordinary ones and put her in the race, and very, very strong at the end of the trip. She's got an absolute mortgage on. Hopefully, these staying races next spring. I think she's going to be very, very good.
On to go. Gladiator and Jimmy Shue.
A brilliant Boss ride. Danny's first Group 1 since Port Rocker in Sydney. Boss's 3rd Derby, of course, after Sky Heights and Starcraft. And he does it on a filly, and only 4 fillies have done that since the Derby has been moved to the autumn. And Shamrocker, who got $65,000 as a yearling, is part owned by Jeff Dimry, who sits back and watches that with
That's everyone, Jeff. I'm tipping you had a couple of doubles into the derbies.
I did. I've taken a Derby Oaks double, and I was pretty keen on Seapoy. I thought, it's the best 2-year-old I've seen. Well, I've been going to the track, and so I had a little bit of that as well, Rich.
Yeah, listen, the first thing I said to Bill, Rich didn't like Shamrock yesterday?
No, look, I thought she'd face a tough task going to that. I was on Jimmy and Retrieve, but Jimmy ran me down when I was on Retrieve, and now Shem.
We've probably just had one too many runs this time up. During the week, he was working superb. He felt bright.
The first filly to win an AJC Derby since research in 1989. She's now headed towards the Melbourne Cup a bit later in the year. Looking forward to that. And to celebrate the 150th run.
Before 11:30, I reckon, all the hats. And people were wearing them all day. Let's talk about this fantastic filly. No fluke in that performance. She is a Melbourne Cup type. She's something special. She's come back. She's won a Guineas. She was such unlucky tempo-wise in the Rosehill Guineas. She's won a Derby, beating a very good horse in his own right in Retrieve. This horse fought on top of the speed all the way. He's a real spring Cups prospect as well. I reckon we're looking at 2 live Cups chances here, and this is one of the stronger derbies. I think it's going to turn out one of the stronger derbies we've seen in a long, long time. They're spread out over plenty of ground.
The whole Derby field as
3 years out.
No, you did say the whole field. Yes, he said a great Derby field.
He did say the first
I said they're both spring prospects.
Okay, well, I agree with you on that, because I think these two singled out and made the rest of the field look a little bit ordinary. She is a great filly, and fillies can't do that unless they're really top class. So, kick there. Retrieve can feel a little bit unlucky. He had to do a fair bit of
style,
work.
though. He doesn't go any other way.
Had to do a fair bit of work the first 500 metres, because I think one of the cap catchers, Kiwi horse,
he's remarkable.
He's remarkable. Crossed him. And it put him 3 deep in an awkward spot, and then he had to work to get to the lead, and they weren't just cantering along either. For him to fight on over the last 100 metres was an outstanding effort of Retrieve. So, he could feel a little unlucky, but you shouldn't feel...
He's won an Australian Guineas, a sire's produce against the boys, second in the VRC Oaks to Brazilian Pulse, and she's the clear-cut favourite at $3.50, Rich.
She certainly is, Caroline. Let's go down these so I can get out of the rain. Number 1, Shamrocker, $3.30 the favourite. It's now out to $3.50. Brazilian Pulse, $4.20 out to $4.60.
Of these horses, the market mover though is at stage number 7, Fibrillation. With the wet coming here, $6.50 Fibrillation is going to start on course. Let's head up for the call of the first Group 1 of the day to Mark Sheehan.
She jumped reasonably well, Shamrocker. Dreamworker missed it and will go back with Lady Lonro towards the tail. And Fibrillation and Pinker show out early on. Placement going up to third, Iron Lace very wide. Then Brazilian Pulse is over on the fence just behind the leaders. Dating going up in the middle to improve, and then Do Re Mi, followed by Mergulisa Lash. Shamrocker in the second half of the field, absolutely just running past it on the rail. And then Dreamworker for Lady Lonro. Down the High Street side now, about 900 to go. Placement the leader by 2 on Iron Lace and Fibrillation, and then a length to Dating.
followed by Brazilian Pulse, getting a nice smother back on the inside. And then Pinker, followed by Absolutely. Shamrocker starting to improve now. Bosses off the fence on her, and she's starting to pick up ground quickly. Running past Do Re Mi, and then Dreamworker Avarelli, followed further back behind them by Bright Salama. Then Crafty Earner, Rose of Peace, and Lady Lonro last. Fibrillation went up on the inside and took the lead, and the Oaks as they run for home. Shamrockers there on the outside coming through into second. Placements dropped off, followed by Brazilian Pulse. And then at the head of the others, Iron Lace. And right along the fence, Absolutely took the shortcut. So it's Absolutely on the inside, Fibrillation the centre. And then Shamrocker and Pika, but Absolutely, it's hugging the fence and has dashed away now. Absolutely, right up along the fence, as well clear from Shamrocker, Pika, and Fibrillation. And Absolutely goes down to win it. Takes out the Oaks from Shamrocker. Pika third from Fibrillation, then Iron Lace, followed further back by Avarelli, then Crafty Earner, Placement, Brazilian Pulse, a long gap to Dreamworker, then Lady Lonro. They're coming in at long intervals. Bright Salama, Do Re Mi.
Oh, she looks super in the yard. Absolutely the winner of the 100th HAC Australian Oaks for Padnack Farm. Super ride, Brad Rawiller, just cutting the corner there, coming through on the inside. And this filly by Richard.
Yeah, well, when did you actually knuckle down and make that decision? Because you still had the decision to make between Melbourne today and a Group 1 here.
Yeah, it looked at tough Oaks, and but she drew well, and you don't get many chances of running Group 1s, and she's done terrific since Adelaide. Sort of seen the make of the Triple A, and
through it, didn't she?
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Yeah, I wore the track earlier, and
May well just live that little bit in the shadow of Nash, and Nash has come to Sydney and really taken everything by storm. But boy, oh boy, Brad Rawiller, you got a beautiful wife. The
instructions for you that the fence was okay.
Yeah, well, everyone knows Mick's a very avid track walker, and as far as my experience goes, he's probably the best. And I walked the track, and I said to Mick that I'm really happy with the inside. I don't think that we need to get out that far. And Mick then went and walked it, and he said, 100%, you're right. And
Then Iron
Lace. She hadn't won a race until yesterday, and now she's a Group 1 winner. She's got a great pedigree, religious choice out of a mare that the Gallagher's boys trained from Maui. Good on you, boys. And bought by Rick Jamison for $150,000 at the Easter sales in the Archer colours. At Rick, he's a meticulous. We talk about jockeys walking tracks, and so many of them do now. But Mick Kenson in Victoria would walk every track and come back. We've said this before. He comes back to his jockeys and said, "This horse needs to be 1.6 horses off the inside fence, and that's where you're going to be, and that's how you're going to ride him." But he puts the work in. Not cheap, Brad. He was all skirt wide, Fibrillation off the fence, rode up the fence there.
I saw a bloke down on the front fence cheering wildly, and I thought, oh, that must be Mick Cow. It must be owners. It was Navish, the track manager, when Brad Rawiller stayed to the fence and won. He was all about. Boxy rode Shamrocker, a treat that had his chance. The winner just loved it and enjoyed the surface. Brazilian Pulse.
Give me a beautiful ride throughout the race, and she tracked up like the winner. Unfortunately, when I let her head go in those really trying conditions, she just struggled. I still thought I was going to win the race, but only just maybe. But when I looked across over to my right and seen Mick's filly just dash through, loving the going, it was just a battle to try and run second then for me.
Absolutely, the first maiden in decades to win an Oaks.
Yeah, she may have been a maiden, and the form could be a bit scrappy and hard to follow out of yesterday's meeting, but there's no fluke in that performance. She's a spring prospect. She's been placed in some really nice races and hasn't had the best of luck. That was a dominant performance. She handles it wet or dry. This bloke Kent, Mick Kent, he's a star. He walks his own tracks. They say he does it every meeting in Melbourne. They've gone against the grain here, and it paid off big time. Obviously, this is later in the day, and they've chopped up that middle of the track. No one tried the fence because, and obviously, the rest of the track become chopped up, and this was fair going as this race come up.
You are so Sydney, Ronnie. Mick Kent has been respected as a top-class trainer in Victoria for the best part of 20 years.
I didn't say he wasn't.
You've just realised.
I just said he's a star.
Oh, he's a very good trainer, Mick. There's no doubt about that. This filly happens. It makes some of the form down south look very strong, Ronnie. There's a couple down there that have been beating her, and they may come up.
The one is Lights of Heaven. How good is she? That question has to be asked. She's unbeaten.
It is. It's very hard to line up form like that, though. That is heavy track form, and maybe it doesn't quite line up on paper as we predict, but Mick could have run her in Victoria, that filly, and obviously he was tossing up, but I keep her in Victoria. Is she good enough to take to Sydney? He's pulled the right road.
Shamrocker.
Look, smoking the pipe before the turn. Shamrocker, when he pushed the button coming to the turn, you think, oh, this is all over, and everything opened up as it does Glen Boss style in Group 1 staying races. But when you had a look back inside, this other filly was travelling just as well. Brazilian Pulse didn't handle the going at all. She travelled until they let go of her head. Pinker was fantastic. And Fibrillation, I thought, was ridden a little close. I suppose the track was
The
playing.
great mile races in the world. This is the Emirates Doncaster Mile, and we have one of the great mares of the Australian turf in More Joyous, the favourite. She is a drifting favourite at this is going to be a slog with the heavy 10 we're racing on after so much rain. She is out.
Only been on a heavy track once, Caroline. That was at the end of her 2-year-old preparation. She handles the wet. She's the class runner.
Normal. I might bet maybe $20 max on a race, so $50,000 is incredible.
Show us your tickets here now. This is fair dinkum. We've got 5, 10. Rich, come over and help me here. $10,000 tickets on More Joyous. Wide.
The $3 on course, $2.90 on the tote for Gay Waterhouse. John Singleton, Nash Rawiller, and she is the super mare of the Sydney Turf. As I said, 3 from 3. The mile.
Pay in a Sacred Choice wins. We can't pay. Anything else, he said, we're going okay. Look.
And the gates are back. They're off and racing. A great start. And More Joyous broke quickly. Bolglance came out of the stalls well. Love Cockazor was away well. And Aloha striding up on the outside. Syrian's not all that far away. Followed by Captain Sonador starting to take closer order. On the outside of it is Pureness, and then Triple Elegance back in between horses early on going to midfield. And then Sacred Choice going up on the outside of Brilliant Light. I Love This City was next, trapped a little bit deep, followed by Dan Lee. Toss took the mare Aloha to the lead now. So with a 900 to run, it's Aloha by a length. In second spot is Pureness, and then Love Cockazor, followed by Captain Sonador. Sacred Choices on the outside. Further back, Syrian. More Joyous is next on the outside of Triple Elegance. They're about 5 off the leader. Further back, Brilliant Light is out very deep from Bold Glance. And then I Love This City and Dan Lee. Happy Hippie back on the rail. Centennial Park starting to stoke up, and then Dowdale, Wall Street, and last is Keeping the Dream. It's Aloha hugging the rail as they make the turn. A length on in second spot, Pureness. Then in behind them, Captain Sonador, followed by Sacred Choice and Love Cockazor. More Joyce has taken to the centre. She's still about 5 off the lead, but Aloha up the rise is going okay. Sacred Choice is coming after it quickly on the outside. I Love This City, the 3-year-old, is starting to belt down the outside. It's Aloha and Sacred Choice from I Love This City, but Sacred Choice sprinted away with 100 to go. She's reveling in the ground, Sacred Choice, and she'll win the Doncaster. Bleeding Glove Caucasor, Bolklance got up on the rail for third, and then I Love This City and also Syrian, followed by Aloha, and then Dan Lee. At the head of the others, Keeping the Dream, Pureness, followed further back. In behind them next by Happy Hippie. More Joyous a couple away from Triple Elegance, Wall Street, then Dowdale, Centennial Park, Captain Sonador, and Brilliant Light after a tough run finished last of all.
Oh, big sigh of relief. A big woo from Joe Pride. That's a second Group 1 for Sacred Choice. He's with Bruce Clark.
About getting back and making ground. Well, 3 wide and just close to the speed. Fantastic.
Yeah, it is. Look, it's hard to make up ground, and Tim made obviously a conscious decision to be that little bit closer there. I was just worried without cover, but she sort of settled well. And then she just, on these heavy tracks, you can see she just sprints like a gazelle. So amazing. And when she's looked, honestly, when she came to the stable, she was a Class 2 horse, and I would have been happy to win a couple of midweeks with her. And the rise has been gradual, but now that she's hit this level, she's been amazing.
She sold to Anthony Cummings for just $40,000, and she was already a winner of $700,000 here. She's now made the $1 million with a win in the Rich Doncaster Mile by
Posy up closer, which was Joe's concern about getting back and making ground. You must have been pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was probably a length or two closer than I would have liked. But I was even having trouble stopping her there where I was, so just wanted to wait a little bit. But she only had 52 on her back, so I knew she would be able to do a little bit of work, and she did that, and she sprinted away, and she was dominant on the line.
She's also got a pretty good record on dry tracks. She's won 6 of her 9 on dry tracks, so but a big advantage for her to certainly, or maybe even more of a disadvantage to some of the others.
Well, she was $21 early in the week when the weather was okay, and not even getting a chat. No one knew she was in the field, but it just played out your way, didn't it?
Yeah, look, we came through with a pretty low-key sort of entry into it.
An outstanding mile record bought by Anthony Cummings for $40,000. Glenn Fraser and all the team race Sacred Choice. She picked up $1.2 million to give her almost $2 million in earnings. Maxi div 11.10. Meet Love Conquers All Brave again. Bold Glance got a great sight. More Joyous. We'll get to the Beaten Brigade shortly. But Tim, it's a bit of a story how you ended up on
no dancing in the rain.
Pretty good effort to win the race twice in 3 years. Must be proud of that.
Yeah, definitely. I really love to make a habit of it. It's a great race, and the race suits me. It suits my older horses. I've got a lot of older horses, and this is the kind of race that I say I'd love to think I could win a few more.
We talk about the great record of the Doncasters. Two young trainers in Sydney, one of the last 4 years together. You and Chris, there's keeping all the old timers out.
Yeah, we'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah, look, he went good, Bruce. He had a nice run through the race, and probably just got off the bridle a little bit too far out. Took his dash away from him, but he tried hard, and he probably run as good as he could on the day. Yeah.
Yeah, look, Bruce, he ran a hell of a race. He just, I thought he ran a better race than last year, but just couldn't get his grip in the straight. He travelled up. I didn't think I was going to win, but I thought I was going to challenge for the placings. But the more he tried, the more the wheels spun. So it's just a bit too wet for him.
Never really comfortable in the run. Just had a tendency to lay out. Just give a few signs that she may have gone over the top. And
Ones and Sacred Choice, Ronnie, a cast-off Class 2 horse when she arrived to Joe Pride Stables, now a dual Group 1 winner.
And not just a dual Group 1 winner, it's two big majors, the Mile and the Doncaster, and both of them dominant wins on bog tracks. Not just a wet tracker. She's got to have it dead set heavy to be so dominant like this, because let's face it, it was a slow track last time in the Randvet, and she was beaten 7 lengths. So she's got to have it heavy and right into the heavy 10 range, and she's just so dominant. You just can't put enough superlatives on her and Tim Clark and Joe Pride to have a ride on the day. This second horse, I love Conquers All. He could be a Stradbroke horse if they decide to go that way, Richard.
He's a revelation, isn't he? I want to say something about Joe's preparation there. He's a runner in the 2,000 metre race. Now, coming onto a bog track of 1,600 metres at Randwick, that'll be like a 2,000 metre race. And she'd had the run over it. And then he's
was a month between runs, though.
He's freshened her up beautifully. Yeah. And I think that it was just plotted and planned well. So a big feather to Joe. Love Conquers All. He's been a revelation. I thought he was a squibby sprinter, but he's actually lifted to a different level. Look at him finishing the race off there. Bowl glance on the fence there, ran well. I thought the 3-year-old, I Love This City, did very, very well. He wasn't really comfortable. Syrian ran into 5th, but he is a wet tracker and perhaps on a wet track.
Something in the tank for you. A couple of winners, so something in the tank for you. Used to be hard to make ground, but she's in great form. She's well in herself. I expected to run well. She perhaps even better this year than she was when she was.
Hortensia came out poorly. She came out a clear last. Keen Commander and Swift Alliance the best into stride. And they'll lead from Avenue and Atomic Force. Solar Charge going up underneath them all. And she'll vie for the lead now as they settle down, followed by King Pulse, Sister Madly. And then came Cardinal Virtue, News Alert back on the inside from Thank God You're Here. And last of all is Hortensia. So King Commander tackled by Solar Charged on the inside and Avenue on the outside. So they made a line of 3. Sister Madly next, followed by Atomic Force. Swift Alliance on the outside. Then King Pulse, News Alert, hugging the fence to try and save some ground. And then came Thank God You're Here and Hortensia back last of all. It's Solar Charged and Avenue. They're the leaders getting away from Atomic Force, running on. Keen Commander dropping off. News Alert's coming right up along the inside, but it's Atomic Force in the centre of the track, the leader. He sprinted. Thank God You're Here coming down the outside. It's giving chase. News Alert back on the inside. It's Atomic Force in front from Thank God You're Here, and Atomic Force will win the Galaxy. Atomic Force rushes down to the post to beat Thank God You're Here, Cardinal Virtue 3rd. Then back in behind them, News Alert, followed by Avenue. And then at the head of the others, we had Swift Alliance, followed by King Pulse. Further back was
Atomic Force takes out the Galaxy for 2011, and an absolutely pumped up Dean Watt from Dynamics. What you hear out wide. And number 12, Cardinal Virtue, has come through into 3rd placing. Rich?
Yeah, he's flying this horse. Darren Smith,
it's from the farms that breed them. Stallion standers, the mare owners themselves going to the Stallions.
It wasn't 40,000 for the Doncaster winner, 50,000 only for Atomic Force at the sales. And by Daniel Dancer, a very good race mare, a show of force. Atomic Force winning the Group 1, and in winning it, Dean Watt can say.
4 or 5 trainers, this horse, but Darren's got the best out of him. The key to this horse is 1,100 metres, and he does like it wet, obviously.
He's a knob at it, isn't he?
Even a 1,200 metre race, he won't get out of his own way. I don't know why, because he attacks the line in 1,100 metre races.
Look, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's won 4 out of 5 at 1,100 metres. He's just an absolute 1,100 metre specialist, as I said. He handles the going. He's in great form. it's not a lot that can be said for the others, really. I mean,
oh well, the second horse is pretty good.
The second horse doesn't really like it, and he ran on brilliantly. So
he was first up there. Thank God you're here.
Yep.
And I don't know what Pat's always been saying. We might try and set him for Brisbane, Andrew.
Yeah, he'll go to Brisbane. Thank God you're here. Just because it was such a heavy track, they'll give the horse 3 weeks. So we won't see him until the Prime Minister's Cup. Shrapnel came out before the end of this race, or before the start of the race due to the track. Goes back to Adelaide for the Goodwood. Atomic Forces, we watch it hit the line so strongly. They're looking towards the Victory Stakes and a test at 1,200 metres. This is the old Sir Bernhardt on Saturday week now, so we'll look towards that in the BTC Cup.
It's 3 on top, 2-1 the other two. Rightio, 3-1, 3-2-1. Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Miler. All right, only a couple of minutes away from the start of the Flinders Lane Frank Packer Plate. Let's head up to you, Mark.
Moving up Presido, who is backing up after running in the Derby, finished 4th in the... And coming out in a pretty even line there. Fast Clip was the best into stride, led from Shoot Off on the inside, and Muirfield hunting up on the rail to be in a prominent spot. Needs further starting to go forward up to 3rd or 4th. Then LA Tara, followed by Presido, is going to find a run. He's had his own way from the time he got there and led out by 3/4 on Fast Clip, and then Shadows in the Stun. It's still sitting out a little bit wide. Shoot Off over on the fence, followed by Presido. LA Tara giving a cup with the whip, and then came Muirfield. Songshan, the filly, starting to get on a bike from the back, and then came Happy Trails on a net, and Hard Liquor is last, rolling up towards the home turn. Needs further rider, stayed away from the inside, and Shoot Off went up on the fence and joined it. A length to Fast Clip, followed by Presido, and then Shadows in the Sun will Shoot Off. Disposed of Needs further quickly, and it raced away. Happy Trails is coming through and running on into second from Muirfield. Fast Clip struggling, and Presido coming down the outside, but Shoot Off's going like a winner with 150 to go. 2.5 on Happy Trails, and then Muirfield and Presido, and Shoot Off's going to be too good. Won it by 3 lengths on Happy Trails. Muirfield got 3rd. Then Presido, followed by Fast Clip. Further back, Shadows in the Sun, a gap in the field after that.
Relatively number 6 shooter lengths, 2:07.74 the time, 38.03 the final 600 on this heavy 9. Shoot Off.
I missed the AJC Derby, wins the Frank Packer Plate. The horse for me to follow that race is the runner-up, Happy Trails. I think he's a bright spring prospect. Not sure if he got handled the ground that well. His form will stack up, but sure.
Yeah, the wet track does. He's a huge factor there yesterday. Horses that won yesterday got through possibly the worst going we've seen all autumn. And
Shoot Off winning for Graham Rogerson, another Kiwi-bred horse ploughing through the mud.
Now, this is a wet tracker. He had shaped up in some good races in the wet in the past. He's a type of horse that, if they went to Brisbane and found a wet derby, he could be competitive in, but he has to have conveyed dividends on the wet track yesterday. I like a horse in this race, although he's only won 1 from 11. The second horse, Happy Trails, I reckon after a break, he'll come back a nice sprinter mile of that horse.
Well back. There's a few horses that have been very well back here in the early betting. Down the board, the favourite Helmet, the winner of the English Size Produce. Open up around the $3.23.30 mark. I can tell you Helmet is now all the way out to $3.80. $3.30 now all the way out to $3.82's out. Yawate, $5 to $6.
Tall and Cocky Raider. They'll be the last 2 to move in. Helmet is still the favourite. Fast was Fast and Sexy. Helmet came out fast, and Running Tall also showing some speed. Not all that far away, Houston Benefactor, who's jumped very well today, and she's up in the firing line as well. Fast and Sexy now easing back off them, followed by Boys on Tour. Going up in the middle, Uwate, and then came Disputes. And so Helmet getting his own way in front inside the 800, running to the 7, led by a length on Running Tall. 2 to Houston Benefactor. Then Boys on Tour on the outside, followed by Disputes back on the fence. And then Fast and Sexy, Uwate next, and then Pain in the Glass, who's held up for a run at the moment. Cocky Raiders on the outside, and Quinian back last of all, swinging for home in the Champagne. And Helmet the leader, trying to do the double the size in the Champagne by a length and a half. In advance of in second spot, Running Tall, Fast and Sexy out into the clear. Then Houston Benefactor, Boys on Tour, and Pain in the Glass running to the 200. Helmet's the leader. 2.5 lengths in front. Pain in the Glass is starting to rush down the outside out after it. And then Fast and Sexy. He's ducked off the track, Helmet. He ran to the middle of the track, but he's still got the race won. Helmet goes on to win it and beat Pain in the Glass. Third home was Fast and Sexy. And then Boys on Tour, followed by Houston Benefactor and Disputes.
And then Cocky Raider followed by Awate, running tall, and Queenian was back last of all.
Well, he's done it again, Helmet. He was looking as if he was looking a bit weird going down the back straight, changing legs, and he's just decided to duck out again. Have a look at that in front of Pain in the Glass, who was making a great late run at him, and then you get back.
Couldn't believe she got so far back again. She starts to fly. Here comes the Dipsy Doodle. There's the Dipsy Doodle right out in front of Pain in the Glass. It goes back in. I'm on Pain in the Glass, punters. The copper tip, nothing will be happening. The winner will be Helmet. The second horse, Caroline, just saying that if he, for some reason, we take the race off because I want to collect. Took one length.
He's a naughty boy, isn't he?
Oh, he's frustrating, Bruce. He was full in front when Kieran hit him. I thought, anyway, he won this main but it's disappointing for me to see him do that because he's a very good horse. No one's seen what I've seen at home. He was going to do it today until he just shot himself in the foot. It's a hard thing to rectify because he does nothing at home. Whether he's shy of the tape board or whatever, but it's just not good enough at this level to do what you're doing there. And he's still arrogant enough to win as well as he did, so he's a smart horse.
Dangerous thing to do, though.
Something there, and Kieran's the first to come back and say this horse got so much more to offer. I just wish we could have seen it today.
Yep, you won. That's the main thing. Well done, you, Pete.
Thanks, Bruce.
Peter Snowden and Gary Way to do it, Kieran.
Yeah, I thought that Jimmy Byrne might run me down after he lost all momentum doing that, but he's just doing it so easy.
Tell us, did
Mark Sheen say that something was coming down the outside, so I thought I've got to pull it through and give him a little tap with it. And normally, if you hit him on the left side, they don't go to the left, But anyway, we know he's a little bit weird, and he showed that again today.
That's as bad as he's for the 2-year-olds this year. Go to Darley. Well done to Peter Snowden and all the team involved here from Seapoint, a Helmet. Alarming drift, no problems there. $3 out to $5.50. A maxi divs beats Pain in the Glass, who's terrific. We'll talk more about Jim Byrne shortly, and Fast and Sexy gets a Group 1 placing. He goes to the paddock. He's a bad boy, this bloke, but he is oozing some pretty good talent here.
Well, he still doesn't know what he's doing, does he? And he's winning Group 1 races, so, that augurs well. And what a performance from these Darley horses with Sires, Elusive Quality, Exceed and Excel, who sort of went off the boil a little bit. So they've managed to scoop the whole pool.
I guarantee you, Danny O'Brien and Ben Mellor and that are now, and the owners are now saying, thank God it was scratched at the barrier in the VRC side. Yeah. But he's just raw talent, isn't he? He's always had the ability, and it's amazing. Like, the more I see him, mate, that was a mile yesterday. I'm starting to think he'll run a mile and a quarter.
Yeah, well, he'll run 2,000 easily. There's no doubt he's got a good cruising speed. And
once he
sorts himself out.
But you can't, well, imagine if a horse was a length behind him here.
That's right.
Yeah, it's protest.
We'll get to that shortly, Rich. We'll concentrate on the winner. We'll go to hear from Pete Snowden. This
Shows none of this at home. He's a very quiet, relaxed horse. He's beautiful in the yard today. Did everything right behind the gates, but just got to get that bug out of his system.
He's a bugger, isn't he? Helmet yesterday nearly threw the race away with that, and it's not the first time he's done that.
No, he's done it before. We saw it 2 starts back. Funnily enough, we didn't see it last start. And Kieran used the whip on him last start, and he didn't resent it. He seemed to resent it this start, and he resented it at the start before. You watch, Kieran gives him one hit with a stick, and he goes, uh-oh, I'm out of here. Well, I don't know how Kieran stayed on, but he did. And that was pretty dangerous move from that horse. And I suppose the stewards will now want to see him trial or do something to say that he won't do that again.
Well, what do you want to do? See him trial under the whip? Or
well, he might have.
There's no use making him trial under hands and heels.
Well,
look, he is.
You can't just have a horse doing that. That's just dangerous.
No, actually, he would do that running away from the whip. He's running into the whip.
How do we know it's the whip? Is he shying at something? I don't know.
I'm assuming it's the whip because it happened last time. It's an assumption, Ronnie. You're right. But
it's in the past. We've got vision of him when he did it at Rose Hill. Now, on this day, he did run away from the whip.
Yeah, the whip was on the... Kieran had the whip in his right hand, but Kieran had it in his left hand this time. So he's hard to predict, this horse. And even more difficult, he won the Sires. Kieran hit him with the whip in the left hand. And he didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, what do? Do you make him a horse, or do you need that disadvantage? Obviously, they'll have to assess him after a spell, after he's trialled, and hopefully he matures and just drops all that out of his game.
We hope.
0.7 seconds and the protest was dismissed. Zavit, $15 out to $18 now for number 1, Zavit. Cedarburg, the BMW winner there, the Ramvet BMW winner, $6.50 out to $8, 3's out, Gingadoo. $16 into $15 handles the going. My Kingdom of Fight, 13 out to 14, 6 is out. Sirion dollars. Sacred Choice, 340, 350. She's dominant. Palazzio's out. Galazzani, 9 out to 10, and Retrieve, 480 into $4 and 20 cents.
Yeah, going for a race-to-race Group 1 double, the Darling.
And when they jump away for favouritism, Sacred Choice currently 370 in the ring. Now the runners are being called up into line. Galazzani is the first to move up. Zarvit and My Kingdom of Fife. And racing. And jumping away well, Syrian. Also coming out of the stalls well, Zarvit. Retrievers going forward and Sherpa Tenzing out wide, rolling up near the lead. And then My Kingdom of Fife, followed by Ginga Dude. He's pretty wide in the early part of it. Sacred Choice midfield from Galazzani. And then Leprechaun, Cedarburg, second last, and Viking Hero dropping over behind them. Side 800 to go. Zarvit let roll a little bit more now by Boss. Led a length and 3/4 to a length and a half on Retrieve. And who now kicks up to go a little bit closer again. Sherpa Tenzing third. Syrian Needle Long back on the inside. And then Ginga Dude, followed by Sacred Choice, who's now called on to edge forward. Followed by My Kingdom of Fife, then Leprechaun, who's off the bit and struggling. Then Galazzani, Cedarburg trying to pick up through the middle. And back last of all as they come to the turn, Viking Hero. McAvoy lets the 3-year-old go at the top of the straight. Retrieve. And out in the middle of the track, he raced away from Zarvit. My Kingdom of Fife and Sacred Choice are down the outside. And then Syrian, but Retriever's nicely clear at the 200. Here comes Sacred Choice. She's starting to rattle down the outside with My Kingdom of Fife and Syrian over on the inside. It's My Kingdom of Fife and Sacred Choice. My Kingdom of Fife has taken the lead by a neck on Sacred Choice. And My Kingdom of Fife, at his second Australian start, gets a Group 1. And My Kingdom of Fife beat his Sacred Choice or Syrian on the inside. Then Retrieve, followed further back in behind them by Galazzani. And then Cedarburg, Viking Hero. Then at the head of the others next we had back in behind them Zarvit, Sherpa Tenzing, Gingadoon, and last in was Leprechaun.
Well, Doncaster Prelude, the Royal Palmer to the Queen Elizabeth, the Group 1, My Kingdom of Fife, and Nashua Willa and Chris Waller. This imported galloper, beautifully bred he is, the best one Chris has bought from overseas to race here in Australia, and he's taken out a Group 1 at just his second Australian start. Lovely horse by King Mambo from a great...
Right, Bruce, but that's racing. And they've picked him up at a fairly good price. And, yeah, living a dream and bought a horse off the Queen, winning the Queen's race.
That's amazing to think that a Group 1 10 furlong. I mean, he could be a Cox Plate type horse.
We'll worry about that in a few months' time.
Okay, great years ago with Karen McAvoy on board. There are the English.com English interim dividends. My Kingdom of Fife, $12.20 and $3
in Australia. Good for the owners, 150 to 1 week, $14 the next week. Bought for just 60,000 guineas by Chris Waller at the horses in training. So off the Queen, wins the Queen Elizabeth, and I think you're going to take this at absolute face value. Either one thing, he's an emerging weight for age star,
which I think so,
or we haven't got any.
Yeah, it sort of makes you worry, doesn't it? He wins at 150 to 1. One start when the stable doesn't think he can win, and then next
with
start
54 on his back.
Exactly, and then wins a Group 1 and beats the Doncaster winner, and probably the best run in the Doncaster was Syrian away from it, and it runs third. So, I don't know.
And Retrieve ran favourite, who hadn't won a race this campaign. The 3-year-olds turning 4. Are they any good?
Well, not. I've had enough of Retrieve.
I certainly have now.
He's had a couple of races, won, and hasn't gone on with it. So, nothing on it yesterday, but I wonder what the people in England think when we've got a horse here who can't run a place in a listed race, comes out and wins a Group 1 at his second Australian start. Maybe it's the year for the internationals to come for the Cox Plate.
What do the people in Australia think when we send over our sprinters who are handy and they blow their horses away?
Well, we know we've got the best sprinters in the world, but stayers are a little bit different.
It's because they breed them.
I know.
What about Robbie Willis too?
In Australia, an exciting stay, there's no doubt about that. He's just taken all before him, hasn't he?
Yeah, look, it's you can say it may have been a fluke at his first up run. Everyone think, oh, he's 151. That was a fluke win, but he won like a legitimate Group 1 horse there yesterday. Look, he was strong. He handled it going. He did get a peach of a ride from Rawilla, but look, he's 2 for 2 now. I'd suggest he may spell for the spring, and who's to say he's not a contender? He's really adapted to our way of racing, and looks a real nice horse. Sacred Choice was gallant in defeat, just didn't finish off at the end of 2,000 metres there. She was also perfectly ridden. Syrian just had a sensational preparation, and thought Retrieve was a touch disappointing. He seemed to have his chance, and although he battled on, I thought he was entitled to win in the spot he got to.
I don't agree with you on Retrieve. I thought he ran very, very well, and I think he's the
I thought he was
one.
better than that.
I think he's the 1 3-year-old that I'm quite confident will run well as a go on and make a 4-year-old. I'm not very confident about any of the others, but Look, this horse, they've said, all the form experts here at Sky who study English form, and we've got a few of them here, said this horse had Class 1 form, not Group 1 form. Now, that might be a bit of an exaggeration. I might be exaggerating a little
Well, he
bit.
ran at Royal Ascot. Any horse that runs at Royal Ascot is a pretty good horse, so I'm told.
Well, maybe. There's a lot of horses who run at Flemington aren't much good, but, that it's just extraordinary that he's been able to bring out what is definitely not Group 1 form or even Group form from Europe to bring it here and become a Group 1 winner at his second start here. It's extraordinary. Will it start a flood of people buying?
Well, it's already happened.
Non-group
It's already happened.
Well, is there a flood?
Perhaps, Richard, the dearth of our own stayers here in Australia.
Look, it does highlight that we have spent decades not breeding stayers. And, it's still happening to a large degree. You put a staying horse to stud.
And very even lineup of stayers to go around this year. At this stage, it is Hawk Island, who is the favourite, but it is $6 the field. Richie, of course, the JRA plate winner coming through those weight for age races as well, but he's a
Swept Sydney Cup. Right from the top of the board, let's go. Com.au. You know what they say about men with big feet?
As you mentioned, you can see the horses. He's been a bit stirred up, but he is a stallion, as I mentioned. Laristan, $13 into 9. Right on start time. Here's Mark Sheehan for the call of the Schweppes Sydney Cup 2000.
Stand by for a start. They're off and racing. Saint Costa jumped awkwardly. Stand again a bit sluggish early, and Cannon Costa going back as well. Solid Billing took up the running early and led from Muir, and Once Were Wild out wide from Older Than Time. And then Tinseltown, Lariston going up above average over on the fence, followed by Bidspotter. And then making ground out wide in the early part of it was Saint Costa up to midfield from Macedonian Stand Again, and then Hawk Island. Strike One's about Lagur is still whipping them in. He'd be about 15 to 20 off the leader, which as they go past the 1200 is Solid Billing. I think it's gone a little bit further ahead. It's 6 or 7 in front. Some moves are starting to come now. Stand Again trying to sneak up on the fence to join Saint Costa. Muir's with them. And then Macedonian saving ground on the rail. He's taking the shortcut up to 5th, followed by Once Were Wild. Above average on the outside was next from Bidspotter. Then Lariston further back, Older Than Time has lost its spot. Strike One's hard ridden on the rail. Sailor Gur's pulled wide to start to edge up. Hawk Island a long way back with Tinseltown. And back at the field is Cannon Costa. Solid Billing in front with Stand Again. Went up to with 6:50 to go. And they're almost matching strides. Oh, there's a bad fall back in the field. Couple have come down. Hawk Island was one of them, and Tinseltown has crashed as well. Sensation here in the Cup where Solid Billing got away again from Stand Again. Macedonian and above average next, and Sailor Gur is starting to fly from the back of the field as they run to the 250, and it's Solid Billing in front, but Sailor Gur is gathering it up out in the middle with Stand Again. Then Macedonian, Lariston further back. It's Sailor Gur moving up to Stand Again, and Macedonian. They've headed Solid Billing. It's a Stand Again just in front of Sailor Gur, who might have peaked on his run, and Stand Again is going to win the Sydney Cup. Another one for Waller. Beat Older Than Time coming through into second. Third home was Solid Billing. And then Macedonian. Sailor Gur got a stitch late, followed by Lariston and Strike One. And then we've got further back in behind Costa, Muir, Bidspotter. And unfortunately, there's a bad fall. Tinseltown came down at the 600. Kieran McAvoy is lying on the track. Hawk Island also came down. Glenn Schofield is setting up and is conscious, but that was a nasty fall at the 600.
Yeah, he's been set for the race for a very long time. He won't win. But to get scratching, to see the heavens open up, yeah, someone's looking after us.
You've had a great day. Waterhouse told Glenn, I'm thinking I'm not going to run Older Than Time. Glenn Boss then inquired with Chris Waller, is there an opportunity? Chris Waller said, I've got
as much as $71 bet on race morning, one of 6 Northern Hemisphere horses in the final field. That's not counting the Kiwis, and there was 3 or 4 of them, including Sailor Gur, who had a look at the winning post.
Exactly, and that's what Chris said before the race. You know, he'd really run a 3200 out on the wet track, and that's exactly what he did. And I was most probably, missing the kick turned out to be a blessing, really.
It was a mixed day for Chris, of course, where he had Hawk Island, who well, good on you, Andrew.
And it's funny, like the winner Stand Again and the favourite Hawk Island, as you would probably realise, that very similar breeding lines, both by Hawk Island out of a Sadler's Wells mare.
That's
so
right.
You'd imagine they were going to be right in the finish. The horse that fell at Hawk Island, Schofield was unlucky enough. He was about to come out. Rod skips around on Sailor Gur push, and then he says, right, They're all starting to fan ollies and go back in behind them. And as he did, crash being walloped, and down they went.
Just touching on the 6 North.
I'd say he'd run 3 mile, and he loves the going. So everything fell into place for him yesterday. He sucked up on the fence there after missing the start, and he just outslogged them. This mare of Go Waterhouse is older than time. She's gone from a benchmark 63 race at Newcastle all the way to this Group 1 staying 2 mile race. She's a talent. Maybe in the spring for sure. And solid billing. Didn't go as hard as expected up front. He was rated beautifully, but
Melbourne Cup, that's the second half of the field going over the line. Great effort to get the horse to win, and placing horses like him to win. I'm not in any way running down what Chris has achieved here, and it's a very.
We're not trying to rival a Melbourne Cup.
No, it's. Let's get the class in perspective here. This is the second half of a Melbourne Cup, but. You know what?
It was still a competitive, good race.
It was. And you've got to keep running these races. And every town should have a 3,200 metre cup, every big city. I really am a bit disappointed that some of our major cities have decided to bring their 3,200 metre cup back to a 2,400 metre cup, right? That's not the world's classiest field, but it was still good fun racing. And someone is a very happy owner this morning for having won that race. And that's what racing's all about.
Yeah. A lot of people.
And through the day, Glenn Schofield, suspected broken collarbone, and he is at casualty at the moment. One more Group 1 here this afternoon, and this is the all-age for 2011. And at this stage, well, Hayley's the replacement jockey, of course, for Glenn Schofield. Glenn Boss, if you missed that.
Yeah, Glenn Schofield, yeah. So suspected right collarbone, eh? And yeah, McAvoy, I think it's precaution because he's sore all over, and when he was obviously knocked out, so all precautions taken straight to St Vincent's Hospital for go bang, bang, bang. 3 Group 1s, $11. Payless, $2.60 into $2.50.
Well, for a small part of the race in the TJ Smith anyway. And geez, a super horse on his day, a massive horse for John McNair. And as I said, Glenn Boss on board for Glenn Schofield.
Yeah, it's Caro. Interesting race. What about the money? Interesting race, Caro. Interesting race. What about the money? I'll just flip down. I'll come back to you. One's out. Dan Lee's 10 out to $12. Payless, $2.70. Solid out from $2.50.
And they're off and racing. Shootout straight back to last with Centennial Park. Haley's bounded out quickly and took the lead from Alberta. And then Melito going up on the outside to settle down in third spot, just a couple of lengths off the lead. And then Shootout followed by Heart of Dreams. Hinchinbrook's just past midfield, followed by Danley, Centennial Park. And last of all is Triple Honour. Well, Haley's just cruising through the early part of this. Bosses are rating him nicely in the early stages, led out by a length on Melito and then Alberta. Shootout's picked up ground now to go to fourth, and then Heart of Dreams followed by Hinchinbrook, Danley and Centennial Park are near the rear, and Triple Honour sitting outside them last of all. Payless getting his own way in front. Melito sitting close at hand in second position, about 3/4 off the lead. Alberta third, Shootout on the outside fourth. Then Heart of Dreams followed by Hinchinbrook. Triple Honour still out a little bit deep. Centennial Park the inside, and Danley sandwiched between that pair. They're about to turn. There's been no pressure applied to Haylist as they run for home now. Boss about to turn the screws, led by a length and a half, Melito. And then came Alberta getting a split in the centre from Shootout, Heart of Dreams. Hinchinbrook coming down the outside, but Haylist pounded away. He's 3 lengths in front of Melito. Hinchinbrook's coming right down the outside, and then Heart of Dreams. But it's all Haylist with 150 to go. Hinchinbrook runs to second out into the middle of the track. Beautifully rated right in front. He runs the 1400 out and close in. It's Haylist first. Photo for the Miners. Hinchinbrook or Heart of Dreams, and then Melito, followed by Shootout. And then at the head of the others, Danley, Centennial Park, Alberta. And last in was Triple Honour.
Well, he deserves that Group 1, doesn't he, here today? No Black Caviar. Haylist takes out the all-age stakes for 2011. Glenn Boss, well, you got a feel for Glenn Schofield missing out on the ride with a suspected collarbone, broken collarbone after a fall in the Sydney Cup. Have a look at the reaction. Glenn Boss, this is a Group 1 Glenn Boss here at
$2.70 to $2.40, very late, Haylist.
And I knew how we had the horse going, and we were confident that he'd improved markedly from last start. And I think he's proved that today.
You're telling me last week how much trouble you have with this horse's feet and managing his feet and the ongoing troubles you do have.
Well, it's a combination of things with the horse. You know, he's just been an unlucky horse.
He was as good as he could have been on the day that Black Caviar, and I didn't know what sort of beaten Black Caviar that day, but if anything, he was a lot better today.
Yeah, well, you've got to remember, Bruce, that he struggled at Warwick Farm only a month ago.
He improved a great deal from there to the TJ, and I think he's improved again from then till today. Now, that being the case, if we'd been meeting Black Caviar after another run under our belt, then maybe things might have been different. The difficult thing is that every time we meet her now, we're going to be giving her 2 kilos.
Glenn, for riders, and I'm sure you feel as much right now for Glenn Schofield as winning this race.
Oh, it's very bittersweet, isn't it? It's pretty bittersweet. It's just that was just sitting steer job for me, and obviously I'm thinking about Scurry right now because this is his horse. It was just a privilege to loan him for 10 minutes. As soon as I got on him, he just oozes so much. He just oozes so much talent and power. This horse, he's just incredible. So he just gave me a superstar ride. He relaxed out in the front, and by the time I got the rise, he was just going to be all over. He's going to have too good a turn of foot. Handled the going quite well. Just goes to show how good that mare is, isn't it? Just spanks his horse every time they go around. And I tell you, he felt like as good a sprinter as I've ever ridden. He's a superstar. So just goes to show what a great man Peter's got. But it's all about John McNair, obviously, and
Cramp he got there in the hip too as he stood up in the irons. A-list, 14 wins, 19 starts, and just when they had another hero to rise to the top, he did. A-list is a popular horse. He's a star, and so is his trainer, John McNair. You feel he's a popular horse with the punters and the fans out there, John?
Oh, definitely, Bruce. But we just keep running into ones at this stage a little bit better than.
Well, it's a freakish coincidence that you run in Black Caviar, but in his own right, he is a world class with the number 2 sprinter in the world.
It appears that way, yeah.
Yesterday, that you were meeting Black Caviar, it might have been a chance.
Yeah. I don't think he's very far from his top. I'll probably know in a couple of days what that run's done for him. But I knew that he was a much better horse yesterday than what he was for the TJ.
How concerned about the track where you win the race?
John, did he tell you when he came back that he had these sore hips?
No.
Actually, you can screaming in pain.
Oh, that's fine.
I thought he might have got a sore pocket, actually.
That's what caused it.
Has a wonderful 10 minutes aboard the horse.
Well, I bet you it was. It looked a wonderful 10 minutes. He's a lovely, relaxed horse. And look, it was just a brilliant performance. He kicked another box, the wet track box yesterday. And look, he's obviously a star sprinter. And he's run into a champion of late in Black Caviar. And look, I don't know what John McNair's thinking with him is, but whatever he puts him in, he's going to be competitive. I heard John talk a lot of sense on radio this morning about horses with wet tracks. Now, the more practice you give them on it, give these horses on it. You see some trainers when it rains the night before an important gallop, they don't gallop their horse because they're scared of working it on a heavy track, Richard. This horse, John's paired him, asking from the water of the tracks to teach him to handle wet tracks. Does that make sense to you?
I think it probably does. I think, that makes logical sense to me. Look, I think this is was by far the best performance of the day. He's an outstanding horse. He'd have beaten them just the same on a dry track, maybe further. It's just a matter of where you take him now. You just avoid Black Caviar and he's got it all at his feet. And that presents an issue. Where do you take him? By the way, I thought, big supporter of Bossie's, and I love the way he celebrates a win, but I know that celebrating that one was quite appropriate because he just picked that ride up from Glenn Schofield, who sadly fell in the race before. And, Bossy took full credit anyway at the time. I see now in the paper this morning he said, he did it with a heavy heart, but didn't look that way. But anyway, this horse, where would you take him? I mean, he can go to South Australia for the Goodwood. It's a set weights race, so he gets in well at the weights. But what about taking him to Brisbane for something like the Stradbroke? I know it's a handicap, but he'd only get 58 kilos. He'd carry that on his ear.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to anything. It all revolves around transport and timing of all the races. You could take that horse to anything and he'd be competitive in it.
Well, warming the saddle for Glenn Schofield yesterday.